We're live! Yay!
Hello. Hello.
Hello. And now we can ask our wonderful live audience folk about our levels and to make sure that we're about the same as far as volume. Yeah, that's true. Hello, Mike Kuipers, Mayor of APG. APG Land.
Do not forsake me, oh
APGville, yeah. APG Town, APG Land, APG Planet. Hello, Tim Van Ran and I Haul Boxes. Lake APG, yeah. The APG cabin on Lake APG. Micah, how you doing? So I'm going to talk a little bit, and now Nick's going to talk.
And I'm going to talk a bit, and now Jeff's going to talk.
I'm going to talk again, and we're just going to make sure that we are...
Yeah, are we good?
Now, Micah is going to critique our audio.
Our talking.
Practice there. Oh, that's nice. Tim, are you going to go out to watch the... watch their practice?
The Blues.
The Blues. And from Novato, you probably... I don't think you can see the bay from Novato, can you? Maybe you can. I guess it depends on where you are in Novato. Yeah, but I don't think those are from his home, though. Yeah. From what I remember, I knew somebody that lived in Novato, and I don't think it was close enough. Or maybe if you're high enough, it's kind of hilly right there, right, Tim? Maybe he can see it. I don't know.
Liz, Jeff is louder than Nick. Oh,
okay. Just as you mentioned Nick, so I will... another person from Marin County. Howard, do you know Tim Van Ram over there in Novato? Working the show on Saturday. My office view. But okay, that's your office, not your home, right? Okay, let me go to cam/mic and audio, and then let me take the volume slider and bring it down to, let's say, 86%. Why 86? I don't know. Just happened to be where it just slid to.
Yeah, because it looks nice.
It looks good.
Yeah, 88's too fat ladies. We didn't want that one.
You can see parts of the bay from, or you can see the bay from parts of Novato. Okay. Yeah, I saw that, but I'm thinking he means his office in San Francisco and not in Novato. Unless he's talking about his office in his home. I don't know. Let's be clear here, people. Clarification's necessary. We are waiting for Steph. She should be joining us shortly, just in case you're wondering why we're not starting the show. Just 86. Yeah. Agent 86. Oh, I like Don Adams. Yeah. But how's the volume? Did that work? Did that adjust things better? That's the whole point of this, people.
Yeah, we're not talking here for fun, you know.
Well, we kind of are, actually.
You reckon? You might be. Right.
Why are you doing it?
Business, commercial, K9. Jeff, if you drop in an overlay, it's not exactly the right size. Does it accommodate it nowadays?
No.
Oh.
So what happens is it'll, like if it doesn't cover the whole frame, like if there's some space on either side, then it'll show whatever's showing like on cameras and stuff. So.
Okay. But it will actually be there. Sort of.
Yeah. You know what? I just thought of. I'm not sure I know the answer to this, but if you put in something that is not 16 by 9 exactly, if we share it full screen, no, I think it's still okay. I'm in Pacific Heights in San Francisco during the day. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought, Tim. No issue in the sound here, Dr. Dan. Is that Dr. Dan or Dane? Or Danish guy?
Don't know.
Well, not Dr. Dane. Dr. Dan, who's Dane? Dr. Dane Dan? That Dane, Dr. Dan.
I'm beginning to wonder if you're totally all right there, Jeff.
You're just now
Yeah,
wondering that?
late, I know. It is a bit late
Wow.
for that, I know. Well, that might be...
Jeff's
good.
still a little... Ah.
Right. Let me...
It's probably because my mic's a little bit closer than Nick's.
6539.
Okay, I'll make one more adjustment, and then that's it. I'm not fiddling with it anymore.
539.
Here we go. That's it. The 84.
Let's try that one.
Yeah, Huntington Beach. Yeah, there was an oil spill from one of the cargo tankers. Yeah, see, that's what happens. Now, if you go full screen, will it help? No. It doesn't.
Okay. Well, I can't be bothered to trim that now.
Well, you can just leave it in there like that. Let's see, what if we were to like remove... Yeah, all that's going to do, if I remove myself, then yes, not
All
good.
right. It won't take me 2 minutes, actually, to...
You wouldn't think, a person with your skills with Photoshop would take very long at all to
no, it won't.
fix that.
Oh, I just deleted
But I
it
would
and
be
it's still
wrong.
on the screen. How does that work?
You have to select something else. If it's still being displayed. By the way,
yeah.
Nick does that all the time. Leaves stuff displayed. He'll put stuff in the overlays, and then I get onto StreamYard, and there's just something in the screen.
And you go,
Nick!
where's my picture?
Hey, Steph.
Open
Hi.
with-
Sorry.
Hi, Steffi.
I should not go to Walmart apparently at or around, lunchtime on a weekday. It's busy. Busier than I expected.
No problem.
Hardly ever go to Walmart, but they sell cheap sweats for
Ratio
throwaways.
16:9.
Yes, I'm going to do that right now, Liz. She always, are you going to? No. So basically, she's directing me to tell you why Rick is not here today.
Oh.
We were hoping that he would be with us, but they're doing they're trying to sell their house,
Yes.
and the house open house today and tomorrow from 10 to 2 local time. So that means that he will not be with us today. Sadly.
Gotcha.
But, and instead of doing another 2-parter, I just said, I need to
Nah.
start
That's too
working
much.
on
Yeah.
editing and publishing sooner than later. Okay. Yeah, I know she does. And Nick, are you still working on the overlay, or are you finished with that?
I'm just about to put it into
Okay.
thingamajig. Overlays.
Liz says, that's what he said. I'm just about to put it in. But you shouldn't really have to say anything. It should be obvious.
Yep.
Just saying.
You hope. If it's not, then there's other problems.
That's better.
Some personal problems.
Yeah. Probably
What
see
is this thing we're looking at there, Nick? Oh, that's the dog chute.
Yeah, exactly right. I just thought it was quite amusing because there's like a row of people in descending order, except the last one on the right's actually a
Not a
mannequin
person.
dressed
Yeah.
in a German uniform.
Great
And
composition.
That's a meat box, or as it was nicknamed, a meteor.
Ah,
I think our second jet fighter ever. Right, I need to put that somewhere sensible.
Oh, would I like to install an update on Audio Hijack? No. How many updates does this thing have?
What thing?
Audio hijack. It always wants to update. It's probably because I never update it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to actually at some point say, yes, I would like you to update.
Yeah, eventually it's going to just stop working and go, well, be like that then.
Yeah. David says, didn't Liz do the show while she was selling her house? Where's Rick's commitment?
Ooh, good point.
Ooh, yeah.
Well said. Ouch, yes.
Yeah. And that should be a question mark, not an exclamation point, David Ogden.
Well, he could have, maybe he meant to do both and just,
But he didn't.
I know.
I don't think
Just
you're
pointing
allowed
that out.
to do both. I don't think you could in
I don't know. In the style
punctuation.
manual, it depends on the style manual you're using. If you're using the AP or the, yeah.
Right. We all here then?
Yes.
Oh, that's it then.
We are. Well, then we should
could
probably
start.
do a show then.
Let's get started.
I'm recording, believe it or not. What reminded me to do that was the talk about audio hijack and the updates.
That's why I started talking about it.
Oh, is that why?
Uh-huh.
You're on it. You are on it. So to speak.
Pinocchio in the top right corner.
What? No, seriously. I was like, I bet if I talk about it, Jeff will remember to start his recorder. True story, though, it was asking me to update. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
oh, Dr. Dan, you can leave then because we're about to end the pre-show and it won't be funny anymore. I'm sorry.
Oh, it'll be funny, all right. Funny, like weird, odd, funny.
Oh.
I should probably start up Soundbite so we can actually have some music, some sounds.
Good idea.
And oh yeah, I'm sure this is going to be too loud because it always is. So I'm going to start off by
10%.
being a little bit lower than I normally have it.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
That's a little quiet.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Let me try it again.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
It's good.
Sounds
Could it
fine
go
to me.
higher? About right? Or
That was about right.
okay,
Yeah.
nailed it. All right. Let's see. How's the sound? Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Can I put a teaser up?
Sure. Where did you guys go? I can't find the window that you guys are in.
Too late. It's
Where?
gone. That was just
Oh.
a quick teaser.
Well, that's not. What is this? What's that window? No.
found
It's
a
just
window? You
there was a
don't know what it
window
does?
that I haven't been seeing, and apparently I was watching something on YouTube or whatever yesterday or the day before, and it was hiding. But I can't find. Well, unfortunately, I can't see anything you're doing because I cannot find the StreamYard. Oh, here it is. Gosh darn it.
How many screens do you have open?
Well, I have just one screen, but I have multiple
How
windows.
many windows do you
Yeah.
open is what I meant.
Got many,
Well, you
many
need
windows.
another screen. That's the answer. Or a much bigger screen.
Well, I have a very large screen.
A VLS.
Nobody's ever
Okay.
complained. Let's
They were
see.
just being polite.
Well, that could be too.
Sorry.
I do like polite women, so you might have a point. All right. Here we go. Yeah. So you ready, Liz? Okay. Here we go. Starting at 16, I guess.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 492.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jet, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Lake Burton, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 7th of October, 2021.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and it's flying by.
week's episode, all 8 people on board a plane die when it crashes into a Milan office building. An American Airlines passenger opens his plane's emergency exit and walks on the wing near the gate in Miami. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 492 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins in
New York City!
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, GA. And joining me today from her lakeside studio in South, Dr. Skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument rated backstabbing jumper dumper, Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff. It is good to see you. Really excited to be doing a show in the middle of the day. It's different.
Yeah. You know,
like it.
variety is the spice of life. I think we even said that on the last show.
Did we?
Yeah. But in a different context.
Got it.
All right. Well, nope. That's the wrong button that I just pushed there. Here, let me try this one. There we go. And also joining us from his studio in
Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Oh, hi there, you two, and hi, everyone listening. And for the middle of the day, it's awfully dark outside.
Well, time is funny where you live.
Funny time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not very sunny there, like it is here. Although it's not really sunny where I am. What's it like over there in your area?
Not sunny.
Not sunny. Yeah,
No.
a little rainy.
Not raining. No, there's actually been no rain. Rain was
Oh.
promised, but the rain keeps splitting the area here. It goes north and south and east.
Oh.
It just doesn't seem to make its way right here. But it's cloudy and overcast and kind of cool and breezy. So,
It's been raining like
humid,
crazy
very
up
humid.
here at the
Yeah.
at the cabin, and that little creek behind the cabin here has been actually kind of noisy with a lot of water running through it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about some aviation stuff, like maybe news.
Stand by for news.
Okay, this is the preliminary report from the NTSB regarding the Cessna jet, the Cessna 560 XL, November 560 Alfa Romeo, destroyed when it was involved in an accident near Farmington, Connecticut. 2 passengers and 2 pilots were fatally injured, just to remind you. And in the preliminary report, talked about, well, this is actually something we already knew. 2 witnesses observed the takeoff roll, with one reporting the airplane was going slower than they had seen during previous takeoffs. When the airplane was about 2/3 of the way down the runway, one witness noted a puff of blue-colored smoke from the backside of the airplane. Well, it's kind of embarrassing. The other witness stated that the nose landing gear was still on the ground as the airplane passed a taxiway intersection near the midpoint of the runway. And he said to a friend with him that something was wrong. A third witness, who was beyond the departure end of the runway, noted the airplane departed the runway in a level attitude. After clearing the runway, the airplane's nose pitched up, but the airplane was not climbing. The airplane then impacted a power line pole, which caused a small explosion near the right engine, followed by a shower of softball-sized sparks. After hitting the pole, the noise of the engine went from normal sounding to a much more grinding metallic sound. The airplane then began to oscillate about its pitch and roll axis before the witness lost sight of it behind trees. Post-accident investigation or examination of the 3,665-foot-long runway revealed tire skid marks from the right main landing gear tire that were right of the runway center line, beginning about 2,360 feet from the approach end of the runway. The mark from the right tire continued, while a mark from the left main landing gear tire was noted left of runway center line, beginning about 2,480 feet from the approach end. The marks from both main landing gear tires continued and veered slightly to the right, but were continuous from where first observed to the end of the runway and onto a short width of grass immediately adjacent to the departure end of the runway. The grassy terrain beyond the departure end of the runway then sloped steeply down toward a road. Okay, we, again, talked about all this stuff in the initial investigation, but this might be some new information in the preliminary report. Let's see, the parking brake handle in the cockpit and the respective valve that it controlled were both found in the brake set position. And I thought this is also interesting. They got the flight data recorder, the FDR. Both thrust levers were set at 66 degrees, and both engines remained at 91% N1 throughout the takeoff roll. So the reason why I think that's odd is that if I felt that something was not quite right and I was committed to continuing the takeoff, I would have had those levers jammed up through the firewall as far as they would go.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen this happen in an incident. Do you remember the Florida-based 737 out of
Jacksonville,
Washington?
I think.
No,
you're talking about
in the Potomac.
Yeah.
Those guys flew off the end of the runway at low speed with the stall warning going, and they never increased power.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
They just left the power set. They could have got away with that for quite a long time if they just pushed the throttles up, but they never thought to. This guy did the same. So,
Interesting.
You take your hand off them at V1, and a lot of people forget that you can put your hand back,
on
you
it.
know.
Yeah. You do what you have to do if something's not going right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I was it's silly, isn't it? My first takeoff out of Cape Town, there's a hump in the runway. And, we had a bit of a rush departure, but lined up at the end of the runway. We start roaring down the runway, and I'm looking at the runway left, and I'm thinking, good Lord, this is short. So I just said, go in toga. I selected full power. And then, of course, we reached the hump, and the rest of the runway was revealed, and I felt embarrassed.
But you were delighted at the same time, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly right. Because I was thinking, what on earth have I done wrong? Have I lined up the wrong runway? But, we're not going to get airborne by the end of that hump. Or anyway.
Yeah.
So, you've got it under your hand. It's your control, so you can do what you like with it.
So I'm kind of sad. Sad regardless that Rick wasn't able to join us today. But, he always emphasizes that one of his things when he's doing a takeoff roll is he starts the stopwatch.
Yep.
And, it's kind of a cross-check for the normal acceleration during the takeoff roll. And perhaps if this pilot crew had done the same thing, maybe they would have noticed that it's not accelerating as quickly as normal, although I have a feeling they probably noticed something wasn't quite right and the acceleration wasn't normal, but as I said, they made the decision to continue the takeoff. But the time that the airplane took to accelerate from 20 to 100 knots during the accident flight was 17 seconds. The previous two takeoffs were 11.5 and 12 seconds, respectively. So this was an additional 5 or a little bit more than 5 seconds acceleration-wise, going from 20 to 100.
Yeah.
So,
sadly, we can't ask them what was going through their mind.
No, we can't.
Can
Nope.
we?
Unfortunately.
Let's see. iHall Box says it's incredible how good training can lead to a pattern of habits which doesn't help in these ad hoc situations. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
is.
and I think, so certainly, we've talked about this before. When you're in the simulator and you're expecting things to go wrong, that's when you're thinking about all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's just another day, you're not thinking that something's going to go wrong. And if you don't have those scenarios in your mind about, what might I do if something isn't normal, it's very easy just to continue with the normal training, which is not necessarily what you want to do.
Right.
If that makes
And,
sense.
it's hard for us to put ourselves into this exact situation, obviously, and know exactly how we are going to react. But I was going to say something, and I'm sure this is the way for most modern Part 121 scheduled air carrier airliners, out there. I have a takeoff warning horn or takeoff warning system. And one of the items on that takeoff warning configuration system is the parking brake set. So if you advance the throttles and the parking brake's on, it'll immediately sound the takeoff configuration
is it not
warning.
Very obvious though. So for the aircraft that I fly, it's very hard to overcome the parking brake being set.
I've never tried it. I don't know. I would think
And
that it would
you-
be obvious.
You notice immediately if you've not released the parking brake. The aircraft really just doesn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So
The other question I have is who comes to the end of the runway and puts the parking brake on?
I don't know.
well, that's why I'm wondering.
I never
did
put
they,
the parking.
Did they manage to taxi all the way over there with it on? Because that's
They may have.
Oh,
that's
really? Wow.
Well, I don't know because I don't know, but
Yeah.
It's just that I'd rather stand with my feet on the brakes because
Yes.
I've done it in the simulator, where the guy repositions you and he takes some time, so you put the parking brake on, and you can bet your bottom dollar you'll forget to take it off again when it comes. And he says, "Okay,
Yep.
you can go now." So
Where are we going? Yeah.
not except we're not because the parking brake's still on. But you
Yeah,
notice it,
that's
right?
right.
And then you
Yeah.
Well,
take the parking
in the
brake
sim
off.
you do.
Luckily,
yeah.
in the Airbus, there's a big warning that comes up going, "Oi, idiot!"
Yeah.
There is not in the aircraft that I fly, but I promise you will know if you left the parking brake on as soon as you try to
Well,
move. You go.
Last week's plane
okay,
tale,
yep.
I mentioned the Cessna that got airborne out of Ireland on wet grass. He actually managed to get airborne, although he wrecked his undercarriage. There's another one that took off with his, we think,
With the
don't
parking
know for
brake.
sure, with this parking brake on.
I mean,
Yeah.
we said it while we're having jumpers load on the aircraft because you don't want to be rolling while they're trying to get on the plane. But yeah, but it's very obvious if you then forget to, and that never happens. We always
No.
take the parking brake off.
Yeah. But you're right, Steph. It seems like it would have been an obvious thing, at least in my
I'm
experience in
surprised.
the
I don't know
simulator.
about this. Yeah, I don't know about
Yeah.
this particular type of aircraft and what that feels. But yeah.
Now,
it's
in
always
this
very-
case, they said that the this airplane doesn't have it doesn't monitor the parking brake valve position on the flight data recorder, and it's not part of their takeoff configuration warning system.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe they'll change that in the future.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
Perhaps.
Anyway,
On to the
That
next.
looks-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
All right.
While you do that, I'm sorry, I have to make a quick phone call back to a work colleague. I'll be right
Yes.
back. It'll take like 2 seconds.
All right.
Carry on, and I will be joined back in progress.
We will carry on. Good luck.
Bye.
We're all counting on you. All right, the second item. Passenger, and this never happens. Passenger opens emergency exit door and walks along plane wing. The Independent. This is from. And I think we have an overlay, Miss Liz, and it's just this is a still taken from a video, but I was hoping to have a video of the actual passenger on the wing and jumping off the wing, but I could not find anything that had that. So this is just a video of the flight attendant out on the wing. We have that, Liz? Oh, Liz is on the phone too.
Oh, dear.
Maybe Liz and Steph are talking to each other on the phone.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so let me go over here. Do I have to do everything myself? Gosh darn it.
Apparently.
Here we go.
You want me to do it for you?
Yeah, if you can find it. Here we go. There we go. There's the overlay. Staff! Staff! Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So there you go. There's the flight attendant on the wing of a 737. And now let me read the story.
Flight attendant? I thought it was a passenger.
Well, see that the flight attendant went out there looking for the passenger. And
Oh, okay.
But there is no, as I said when I was setting this up, there is no video of the actual passenger on the wing of this 737.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But unless maybe there is, and I just wasn't able to find it. Anyway,
That's an odd-looking uniform for a flight attendant. It looks like they're wearing knickerbockers. Or
it does. Maybe it's just I think that might be because of the letters of the American Airlines behind her, and it's making it look like her silhouette has those interesting looking, you know what I'm saying? I think that
I don't know. I
that's
just
just an
thought
illusion.
perhaps their uniform was like old-fashioned baseball players.
Yeah, they have like pirate uniforms. Anyway, a plane passenger has been detained after he opened the emergency exit door and walked along the wing as the aircraft was taxiing the runway. Oh, taxiing the runway. Okay,
that's a new
interesting verb. American traveler Christian Segura, 33 years old, jumped from the wing to the ground but was quickly apprehended by police. The incident occurred on Wednesday evening just after the American Airlines flight from Cali, Colombia, had touched down at Miami International Airport. Video shows what appears to be a flight attendant standing on the wing, looking out to see where the passenger had gone. There we go. The airline confirmed the incident aboard Flight 920 in a statement. "We're aware of an incident involving a passenger on American Airlines Flight 920 from Cali to Miami," the carrier said. "While customers were exiting the plane at the gate, a passenger opened the overwing emergency exit and jumped onto the ramp. The customer was immediately detained by law enforcement officials. All other customers deplaned normally." Anyway, so here I'm thinking to myself, well, anyway, according to the passenger, he said he wasn't feeling well and was transferred to the Jackson Memorial Hospital's emergency room to be treated for high blood pressure. It remains unclear why he decided to leave the jet via the emergency exit. Now, I'm thinking this is a flight that has just come in from Colombia, and I'm thinking that and why was law enforcement there, like right on the spot to begin with? I think that he may have been looking out the window and went, uh-oh, I see law enforcement officers on the ramp here at our gate, and I think they might be here for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here.
Run away.
That's just my speculation on this, but I'm thinking that he was going to be apprehended as he exited the aircraft jetway in the terminal, I'm guessing. So anyway.
Interesting, yes. Yeah, well, you have a point. It might well have been the right scenario, but certainly confused the cabin crew.
Yes, it did. They go, "Hey, wait, what are you doing? That's not how you get off the airplane here."
It's about a 10-foot drop from the wing to the ground, Dr. Dan, depending on the type.
Yeah, it's not that close to the ground.
No, if you jump down onto the engine, it's probably a little bit less, but it's quite a reasonable fall. You can easily break an ankle doing that.
Yep, for sure. Remember that story of the guy that was out on the wing and he went all the way to the wing tip and the winglet and was climbing the winglet and fell down. And I'm thinking that probably didn't feel very good at all. I mean, that could have killed him, actually.
Yeah, that concrete is not very forgiving.
No, not at all. Anyway, that's enough of that one, I think. The next item here, a Spirit A320 at Atlantic City, New Jersey, on October 2nd, 2021. They rejected the takeoff due to a bird strike, and then they had an engine fire. So when the airplane was accelerating from takeoff from Atlantic City's runway 31, the crew rejected the takeoff at low speed, about 60 knots over the ground, advising they had a bird strike in the right-hand engine, a Pratt & Whitney 1127 Golf engine, and were stopping on the runway. The aircraft slowed safely and stopped on the runway about 550 meters or 1,800 feet down the runway. Tower queried whether the aircraft needed any assistance, and the crew replied, "Roll the trucks, please." A short while later, Tower advised there appeared to be a fire underneath the engine. The crew acknowledged. The fire bell was audible in the background of the transmission, and about a minute later advised they were evacuating the aircraft. Now, is this one that I was going to open? Yes. Okay, let me double click on this and share this news item with you all because it has some video in here that I want to play. So just hang on a second and bear with me as I do that. Okay, share. Boom. Okay, there is the video, and let me play this for you.
Mr. Chairman, please remain seated. Please remain seated. Please remain seated. Please remain seated.
Flight attendants are telling everybody to remain seated. Nice little fire going there out the back side of the engine on the right side.
Seated. People get you. Remain seated.
That always helps. Yelling.
Panic, yell, fire, like no one can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fire trucks are on their way. Please remain. You do not have to get up. Please remain seated. Please remain seated.
Yeah, nobody's listening to her.
Please remain seated. They're on their way. Everything will be fine.
They're not remaining seated. Some of them are. I think the person taking this video is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to get the luggage. You're right, Liz.
Oh yeah, you can hear everyone opening like the overhead.
Oh yeah.
Compartments.
Oh yeah. Now, I think we're getting close to the spot here. Well, not quite yet, but we're going to hear from the cockpit crew. Maybe. Looks like you finally got the spoilers down, or some of them stowed.
Oh, this is crazy. It's never happened. This never happened ever for me.
Doesn't happen a lot.
It's not happened to most people, actually.
Yeah.
Is it stopping?
But it is
It's most of my life, and it's never happened to me either.
Yeah, I've never had. Oh, let's raise the spoilers again. That'll be good for the evacuation. Okay. Anything from the pilots? Hello. I hear the fire trucks approaching.
Insane.
And anytime now.
Insane.
Evacuate. Right-hand engine has caught on fire. We hit a bird on takeoff. All right, please avoid the right-hand engine.
Okay. That's enough.
Evacuate. Then he goes on to explain that they hit a bird on.
Why? Yeah.
Why?
So again, I've not been in this situation, so I don't want to be critical here. I don't know what I'd say. Maybe I'd say something like that.
Well,
But
surely you've done it multiple times at the sim, Jeff.
Yeah, I have.
And you do the PA, and wouldn't you do the same thing if it was a real situation?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so.
You hope so.
So a couple different things here, and so one was I've already mentioned the spoilers. The big panels on the wing are still sticking up. I always brief if we're going to do an emergency. Before we begin a trip, we do the big abnormal briefing and all the different things, and then if we need to modify that briefing on an individual flight, we'll do that. But the big briefing about aborted takeoffs is that as we are coming to a stop or we're stopped, I want the first officer to set the flaps to a certain position to allow for better emergency egress if that was necessary. And the thing that I'm going to automatically do, hopefully, is stow those spoilers because the handle's on my side of the quadrant. I don't know if that's something that you all do on the Airbus, Nick, or not.
You don't need to. Once you deselect the reversers and you get to a certain speed, they will stow themselves.
Well, then I wonder why they
wait a
didn't
minute.
do that in this case, because they stayed up. And then they...
Okay, now hang on a minute. It used to be our signal to do the after landing checklist, actually, was banging the spoiler lever in. So I'm just trying to think what would happen in an evacuation.
Well, anyway.
It's been it's too long for me to remember anymore. Someone needs to tell us.
Yeah, maybe I'm sure we have an Airbus person either in our live audience, or if not, they'll chime in after the fact. But I would think that would be just an automatic reaction from the captain to stow those spoilers. But again, it might be different. I don't fly this airplane. And the other thing is, as you mentioned, Nick, is just like kind of bizarre, explaining that we had a bird strike and it caused an engine fire in the right-hand engine. And why do we need to be saying that to people? We just need to say evacuate.
Perhaps a case of maybe he had already been talking to air traffic control and explaining that, and that was just in his head that he said it already a couple times, and it just came out again while he was doing the PA to the passengers.
Wow.
Could be.
I think that's probably
the last thing you want people to do now, you've just said evacuate. You've got like 2 minutes to get everyone out. The last thing you want them to do is to stand around listening to the rest of your PA and not initiating an evacuation. So just say evacuate.
Yep.
Right. And if your company has a policy on which side, then obviously you add that. But you don't start describing what's going on, because you're just going to stop people in their tracks while they listen to you.
And then they're going to talk about it. Like, oh, it was a bird. Yeah. And, they're not.
Yeah.
Although playing some video now, it doesn't seem like it stopped people in their tracks from getting their bags from the overhead bin and such. But I would have said evacuate, left side, left side. The side that doesn't have all the smoke and fire on it.
Yeah, the non-Bernie side.
The non-burning side. I'll have to remember that one. Anyway, and then of course this, again, and not a big surprise. We see this time and time again. People, we're telling you not to take your bags with you when you evacuate, but people just don't listen because they have important stuff they want to take with them. Apparently,
I saw this was a very obviously facetious, tongue-in-cheek comment about this particular incident on one of the groups I'm on social media from a flight attendant who said, "I've always maintained that our command should just be leave all your ish and get the F off the plane."
There you go.
And say that 3 times. She's like, I think that will make a bigger impression than...
Yep, I think so. Yeah. There's the a little, and this is as large as I can get that picture, where you see the
little charcoaled,
a little hot spot on the burning part on the engine there, and here's some must have been some big birds. I bet they were seagulls.
Oh, the other meme going around with that probably. Well, this was in Atlantic City.
Yeah,
seagulls.
Look at those! Look at those blades. I mean, they're bent.
Did you see the meme going around that it was actually Big Bird? It was the yellow bird in the yellow airplane.
No. Oh, Big Bird in yellow. Yeah. No, I did not see
very
that.
Good.
Yeah. What's that, Liz? Oh, yeah. Liz says that Big Bird was attracted to this big yellow airplane. Yeah.
My whole box that says, just leave all your stuff and claim you had 5 Rolexes in your bag if it burns down. See?
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. What are we going to do, huh?
People.
What are we going to do? People. Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. Anything else to say? Probably not.
Nah.
All right. This I thought was an interesting one. This occurred taking off from the Milano Linate airport. Not sure if that's right or not, but Milano, Italy. A Pilatus PC-12/47E turboprop was destroyed in an accident. Took off from runway 36 at the Linate airport at 13:04 local time. It made a climbing right turn after departure and stopped the climb at an altitude of about 5,300 feet. Shortly thereafter, the aircraft entered a steep and fast descent until it impacted a building under construction. A large fire then erupted. Let's see. The weather, the METARs there, one shows about a 7,000-foot broken deck, and then the one that occurred right after the accident, 5,000. So it looks to me as if the pilot entered the clouds, and that was coincident with the point at which the airplane started falling from the sky. Now, I'm not saying that it was a loss of control, although the initial reports, there were claims that the engine failed, and that's why it crashed. But I'm wondering now, based on...
but not the description of how it crashed. It entered a steep and fast descent. That doesn't make...
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe the pilot got disoriented and lost control. Anyway, it turns out that the pilot is one of Romania's richest men, billionaire business executive Dan Petrescu. He was killed along with his wife, his son, several others when a plane he was piloting crashed Sunday. 68 years old, he was a flight enthusiast whose wealth exceeded $3 billion, Italian media reported, with an empire of buildings, hypermarkets, and shopping centers. He was en route from Milan's Linate airport to the island of Sardinia, navigating through clouds when his plane descended in what some witnesses described as a freefall. Now, is it possible that that he was not instrument rated, or wouldn't you have to be instrument rated to be checked out in a Pilatus PC-12?
No.
No? Okay.
Well, I mean, depends on what type of flying you're doing with it. If it's just his airplane.
Yeah, it's a private airplane, just his airplane. So, I'm not knowledgeable about what requirements there are, but is it possible that
in this
maybe
country it's possible?
Yeah, and I'm wondering over there if it's possible as well, and that maybe he was supposed to remain clear of the clouds and accidentally ended up flying into some and then lost control. I don't know.
I think if you've gone all the way to, piloting a Pilatus, I mean, it would be unusual for sure, but possible.
Certainly. I mean, it wasn't like he was short of money to pay for
to get
some
an instrument rating. Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing was that he apparently requested a return to the airfield.
Mm-hmm.
So that would indicate to me that he's actually got a problem of some kind.
Yeah.
Now, that's according to the Wall Street Journal article.
No. It says here never asked for a return to the airport.
Well...
Is there
there's a
conflicting?
bit of contradiction there then.
Yeah, in the Wall Street Journal it said he never asked to return, and then they were asking him, why did you deviate, to avoid turbulence? And he said, no. That was his only response. However, one of our APG community members and one of our coffee fund cadre members, Jenny Parkinson in Rome, said that on Italian TV news they just spoke about last Sunday's Pilatus crash in Milan. They have yet to examine the black box, which has been recovered, but said there was a request from the pilot shortly after takeoff to the tower for vectors to return to the airport. So that's in contradiction to the news report from the Wall Street Journal. So who knows really what happened here. It crashed into an empty two-story building, thankfully, not far from a metro station. The building burst into flames with columns of smoke rising into the air. Italy's Fire and Rescue Service later shared a video of the scorched building and several torched cars that had been parked nearby. Anyway, so I'm hoping that when they examine the flight data recorder, and I don't know if that probably doesn't have a cockpit voice recorder, but at least the flight data recorder will indicate maybe what, or give some clues as to what may have happened here.
Yeah. Yeah, IHAL boxes agrees with me.
Oh, you only need an instrument rated to fly under IFR. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's true here. You could certainly, as a private pilot, have buy your own Pilatus and not have an instrument rating and fly it around on your own.
If you've got the money, why not?
Yeah. All right. Well, again, that was just a speculation on my part. It just seems coincidental.
I think it would be odd that he would not have gone so far as to get an instrument rating, but it's possible.
Well, and even if you do have an instrument rating and you may not be current and or most of your instrument flying is under the hood and not real IFR, could get, who knows what happened there. But it's just interesting to me because you don't hear too often of issues with that very, very reliable engine, that PT6 turboprop in the PC-12. But now we have covered instances where that ferrying flight in Texas, boutique, where the engine had some kind of an issue and he ended up, crash landing. But I think that's the only one I've ever heard of. But there probably
there's more. I'm sure there's more. It's just yeah. But like you said, it's a very reliable engine.
And that has always kind of caused me pause that an airplane like the Pilatus PC-12 that some airlines use, like boutique, carrying passengers. I just think that's odd to only have one power plant, but I guess
Well, yeah,
they certified it, so I guess it's pretty reliable. But Dr. Dan has a question. You need IFR to file into Class A here in the U.S., so not having your IFR with a turboprop sounds very inefficient. Yeah.
Unless you just want to fly around at like 17.5.
Yeah.
The weather in Italy is beautiful.
A short flight anyway. Yeah. Milan to Sardinia.
I don't know. Is that a pretty quick little flight?
I don't know. I assume everything in Europe is very close together and takes no more than 30 minutes to fly.
Probably.
Well, compared with Australia, yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose America.
I'm kidding, by the way. I've been to Europe enough to know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One more comment from IHAL boxes. In Europe, he would have needed a type rating for a turboprop aircraft, though, and I believe for a type rating you need a CPL.
That's unlikely. That a
commercial
CPL
pilot license.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure all the regulations in EASA land. So.
I mean, it could be
surely you can fly an aircraft like that on a private license. You don't need a commercial. You're not making money from your work.
Well, but to get the type rating, what are the requirements there? I don't know.
I don't know.
And we have to take IHAL boxes word for...
No, but...
Just kidding, IHAL boxes. I'm sure you're right.
Mr. Boxes is...
Mr. Boxes.
I'm sure very astute.
Mr. IH Boxes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. live audience people for your input. And now I'm sure you're going to give some input regarding this last item in our news.
Yeah.
And this happened in Winnie, Texas. Thank you, Liz. If you're listening to the audio-only podcast, you'll hear producer-director Liz baying. I guess that's what you would call that. What is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it was baying. How do you spell that? Oh, neighing. Oh, you learn something new every episode of the Airline Pilot Guy, or at least I do.
Well, you didn't know a horse neighed? Wow.
Yeah, I think I do. I'm just confused right now. I didn't have my drugs earlier before I started the show, so.
I'm going to start taking mine right now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. We're going to share a couple of videos. Apparently in Winnie, Texas, there was a annual rice festival, and this airplane was a biplane, a Stearman, was part of the parade. It was used as a parade float. And as the parade, and by the way, I believe the gentleman who was the pilot didn't fly the airplane to the side of the parade, but decided, because weather was approaching, that he would go ahead and fly it back to the airport instead of tow it. That was not a good idea. And you'll see why here in a minute while I get the video to play. And here we go. I'm going to play this first one, I think. Let's see. I'm sorry. Try this one. I don't know which order this is.
Small plane crashing on a highway in Chambers County.
All right, we see the biplane in view. Uh-oh.
Wow, so you heard it in that video. Oh my gosh, miraculously, as you watch it again in slow motion, no one was hurt. The crash happened on Highway 124 after the Winnie Rice Festival parade. According to the Chambers County Sheriff's Office, the plane was traveling back to the airport from the parade when it clipped a light pole, crashed into a billboard, and then the pavement. The pilot was the only person on board.
All right. Yeah, it was.
I noticed also it says here in the text that he went tearing through a stoplight, so he's probably going to get a ticket for that as well,
get a ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here we go. This is a different angle. Now you're going to see a little bit more evidence of what may have precipitated this crash as he's rolling along. And kind of starts leaving the paved surface. Uh-oh.
He's in the grass. Oh, he almost messed up, man.
And then, of course,
he almost messed up. Oh, shit. Wait a minute. Oh, my God. Yeah, now he's messed up.
No, nope, he definitely messed up.
Definitely messed up.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't have helped.
Yes, David is correct. It got towed after all.
Thank you, David. You're right. Ironically, it got just a little bit later than expected. It was towed, yes, to the junkyard.
Yeah.
Not really sure that they could salvage that.
Be repairing that one. Nah.
Yeah. Anyway. So, I don't know. I guess what's the lesson that we can learn from this?
Roads aren't generally meant to be runways.
Yeah, that's a lesson. Maybe be a little bit more conservative with how long it's going to take your takeoff run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or takeoff roll.
Yeah. And
yeah.
maybe maintain directional control so you don't end up in the grass before you try to take off if you're...
Right. I'm not sure how much, I would imagine it's kind of hard to see a lot when you're talking about you're doing your alignment there, but I guess, if you've been flying these things a lot, you kind of use your peripheral vision and cues.
Yeah, but
right?
at that point you already had the tail wheel up, so it was definitely more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Snail Mail 7 says gently used Stearman for sale. Top dollars only. I know what I got. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know what you got.
A few scratches.
Just a couple of scratches. Yeah, that's pretty sad looking.
I think it's so sad because they are lovely airplanes, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, absolute classic.
All right. Well, that is it for our news segment today, and that, of course, means it's time to get to know us. And I'm not going to sing. There we go. Look at that great photo of the crew. And so it's a segment where we talk about what we've been doing between shows and who would like to. We're going to save, I think, Steph's for last because she has a lot of things to tell us about, I believe. And you do too, Nick. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go first.
Good
and so let me see. Let me get my little notes here. Just a quick, if you're watching this live, it's Thursday, the 7th. And in just 2 days, finally, the Fargo meetup. And just going to mention that one more time. By the time you actually are listening to the audio-only podcast and it's published, it's probably too late. So you needed to be paying attention to this earlier. But they're meeting up at the Fargo airport at the Fargo Jet Center, I believe. Oh, can you hear the dog barking?
I can hear the dog barking.
Yeah. And
what's Taco doing there?
I don't know. But you know what I need to do is I need to close my door. Hang on.
Have the strays wandered into your?
I don't have a dog, by the way.
I know. That's the concerning thing here. It's not one of my dogs. It's not one of your dogs.
Is he a dog napper now?
I think he's stolen someone's dog.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think he's pinched next door's dog.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think that the cabin to the south of this cabin, I think they must have arrived for the weekend or something because they do have a dog, or maybe whoever is using the cabin has a dog. Anyway, it's still barking away.
I hear it. Yep.
You still hear it? Darn it. Okay.
It's
well.
okay. Ambiance.
Yeah, lots of ambiance.
Yes. Anyway, so as I said, Fargo meetup, Fargo Jet Center, October 9th at 12 p.m., and they're going to go, excuse me?
At high noon.
High noon, yep. And they are going to go to have lunch at the Shack on Broadway, located near the Fargo airport. So anyway, if you're listening and you're in the Fargo area, head over there now. Well, not now.
Saturday.
Noon. Yeah, high noon.
Fargo.
All right. Last trip that I was on, it was day 3 of 4. I recorded the last episode while I was on that trip, a two-parter, day 1 and day 2. But on day 3, after we had recorded the show, I met up in Wichita with Nick Camacho and recorded something. So let's take a listen. Hey, crew and community. Jeff here. I don't know. Did you recognize my voice? Anyway, I'm in Wichita, Kansas. Haven't been here in a while, but we're flying here again. And of course, Wichita, air capital, right? This one person that I'm sitting next to right now in his car, we've just come back from a wonderful lunch at a barbecue place. He usually kind of signs in with Nick Camacho from the Air Center. Is that what you say? Air Capital. Darn. Yeah. I didn't even get that right. Almost. Really close. Starts with a C. Pretty darn close. Anyway, so Nick saw that I was going to be in Wichita, contacted me and said, let's do something, lunch, dinner, or whatever, and also put out some notices to let people know that we were here, or I'm here, and Nick and I were going to go and do something like that, and please come and join us. But it may have been too last minute. Maybe people that are living in the Wichita area right now, maybe you're like way behind on the podcast and had no idea that I'd be here, but next time. Anyway, so I'm going to stop talking and let Nick say hello to everybody. So here you go, Nick.
Hey, everybody. It's been great to see Captain Jeff again. This is our first time back together since the pandemic started. I was just telling him the last time we met was, I think, the day everything kind of started shutting down here in the United States. They canceled a number of sporting events and everything. And so, you know, with the time off Captain Jeff took and then the airplane change, they've been flying smaller airplanes here into Wichita. So it was exciting to see his schedule pop up with Wichita on it again this month, and glad that we were able to get together.
Me too. Now, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get a chance to get a ride in Betsy's Biscuit Bomber.
Yeah.
Right? I got that right.
Yep.
Okay. But of course, as you all know, I don't think has it ever been here in Wichita?
Yeah, we stopped when we were taking the airplane across the country, like to Europe in 19, or this year when we went to Oshkosh. The airplane will stop here at my home airport for a day or two each direction from California, but it's not based here, so it's we only get it here for a little slice of time.
So you're saying here, the air capital?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, got it right. Yes. I'm going to have to play the bell. What else was I going to say? Well, anyway, no, I'm not really disappointed. Well, one of these days it'd be fun to get a ride in that thing. But I think I'm going to have to go out to California for that to happen. So anyway, had a great time, good food, good conversation, all that kind of stuff. John, my first officer, is sitting in the back seat just looking at us like, what are these crazy people doing? I don't think he's going to say anything. Just say hi.
Hi.
See? He's such a man of mystery. Anyway, so we had a good time, and I'm going to throw it back to you, Jeff and crew, back in the studio.
Hi.
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 He doesn't normally sound like that. Anyway. And if you're wondering, yes, I do carry that bell everywhere I go.
Bing.
Bing. If I say something that's right, and I don't get to ring it very often, but when I do something right, I hit the bell. When I do, well, that's something entirely different and personal. So we're not going to talk about that. Okay, and I'm sure I'm going to get some kind of a smart aleck. I'm not, because she's not there. I'm looking at the control room.
She missed it.
The control room is vacant.
Empty.
Yeah, thank
Chaos
goodness.
ensues.
All right, and then I also met up with another member of our APG community, and in fact, I think the very first meetup that I ever did, that I can recall anyway, was in Maryland, in Baltimore, Maryland, and he was among those who attended. And at the time, he was known as William or Will Cool, and now he is known as Captain Cool. Yes. I mean...
he messaged me recently, too.
Did he?
Flying over the top of Charlotte, I think, and I got a picture of the airport. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. In fact, it may have been when he was on his way from... Where was he? He was down at Hilton Head Island heading to Atlanta, so maybe that's... when he snapped the photo or whatever. But anyway, I met up with him as he had a layover.
A little bit out of the way.
Oh, would it have been? Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. Never mind. Must have been somewhere else, coming in from somewhere else. But anyway, he had a layover in Atlanta, and I drove down to the airport on Sunday evening and met up with him, and we had a nice meal and nice talk. And it's just so we didn't record any audio. In fact, after I dropped him off at his hotel, I went, "Oh, darn, Jeff, you did it again." And I called him up and said, "Hey, do you want to come back downstairs and, do a quick audio?" And he goes, "I'm okay." And I went, "Okay, good. Me too." So, but it just is so rewarding to meet up with people who have been listening to the show for so long, and who, I think he was a private pilot at that point, and now he is working for a regional airline, one of the big regionals out there, and he's a captain. And so he's making an amazing career for himself in the world of aviation, and it's very gratifying that I can meet up with people like that who have been inspired by us and our show. And so anyway, very cool. It was great seeing you, Captain Cool, and I still envy that. I think that'd be really neat to be Captain Cool.
Captain Cool.
Yeah,
it's a great name.
Oh yeah, well thanks, Liz. And yeah, that's it for me. And let's now hear who wants to go next. What would be the best order to take this?
Oh, Steph needs to go last because
okay,
she's got the most exciting news.
All right, well then
I'll
Nick,
be done
I don't know,
go ahead.
it's exciting, but I have news.
So yeah, I said I did a smelly dog shoot up at Boscombe Down.
Smelly dog what?
A smelly dog shoot.
Shoot. Okay.
Shoot. Yes. So it was a dog detection trial. So the dogs are supposed to be they're marked on their ability to detect and locate a scent. And it was in this fantastic aviation museum, which is really there to show the aircraft that were at the aircraft establishment at Boscombe Down, where the Empire Test Pilot School is, and it's got some lovely exhibits from down there, like Sea Harriers. There's some Meteor behind these people there. So it was great fun. I really enjoyed it because it mixed up a lot of my favourite things in life. So lovely, intelligent, and capable dogs, aeroplanes, and my love of photography. So that was really a great day, and I enjoyed that. And the orders are coming in, so obviously the people who were there and that can now see the pictures are enjoying them and ordering some, which is great. Got Mike Wildman, the cardboard cutout behind me, that side. He features in the Plaintail tonight. And because he's looking for sponsors, you'll find out all about it if you listen to the next 3 Plaintails, because we're going to get his story in 3 parts. You'll find out why I think he's such a remarkable pilot and why I think it's such a fantastic thing that he's doing, running this formation team, and why I think it's important that we do our best to support him. Anyway, if you're a sponsor and in a position to help him, then please listen to tonight's Plaintail and perhaps get in touch with Mike. And next week, I'm heading off to FAST, which is the name of the museum at Farnborough, the airport there, where the Royal Aircraft Establishment was, etc., etc., for a secret assignment, and more of that to come in future weeks. So I'm meeting Ned there, and we're having a look round with a view to doing something special there. Perhaps. We'll see. Anyway, thanks very much indeed for the lovely scientist, Phil, who we met at the Fair Oaks meetup. It's amazing the people who listen to our show. So he's managed to arrange a special tour and a look round at the facilities there. So Neva and I are going to go and poke our noses in. So looking forward to that. And the only other thing to mention is that I have a lovely, now you can't see it very well because of green screening. I've got a transparent, there you go, look, transparent can of Anoda.
Oh.
Hop, drop and roll.
What? Now, how did you get that? Did they sell that over there?
I don't know, it magicked its way across the Atlantic. I don't know how it got here, actually. But I will tell you one thing, it knocks your socks off. I'm going to have to be careful what I say after having drunk this.
It's 7.4%, I think, or 7.2.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's almost like beer. Drinking a can of cold wine. It's so strong.
It's a good IPA, though.
Absolutely, very nice IPA. Yes, I enjoyed it. But after drinking one the other night with company, I started speaking blather, which I hadn't done for a long time.
I was going to say, we're kind of used to that.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, I'll say that I don't think the company noticed anything unusual about
That's good.
how you were speaking.
I'm very glad.
Company may have also had some beverages.
So I mean, well, you're acting as if you were there, Steph, to hear this blather. Were you?
Well, someone had to transport the local Charlotte beer to Nick's house.
Ah, yes, so, you see. Postman wasn't nearly trustworthy enough.
No, I would not leave that to international mail. That would not go well, I don't think. But yeah, I was in the UK this past weekend. First time I've been there, first international trip since March of 2020. So that was very nice, very lovely. I've mentioned on previous shows that I had some marathon running coming up, and now to be fair, the London Marathon was this past Sunday, and that was actually a very last-minute entry for me. I only signed up for it a couple weeks beforehand, and that had to do with I was planning on running it next year in April, and they pushed that race to the following October as well, and I was like, you know what, I'm just getting sick and tired of waiting to run this race. So I was on their website, and I found out that they still had charity places available, so I signed up with one of the charities. Happened to be the same one that our good friend Pilot Pip was running for, and yeah, they let me do that. So hastily made some travel arrangements and got in touch with Nick and said, hey, I'm gonna be in town. I know there's a lot of people that would have been nice to meet up with, but it was actually a very short trip for me as well. I left Friday night and was back Monday afternoon. But no, it was.
I didn't get a lot of notice. I tried to leave town, but it was too late. I just couldn't get out. I mean, there's a fuel shortage here. I didn't have enough petrol to drive away.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Well, speaking of Pip and the charity, Steph, Pip sent us some audio feedback.
Should we play that now, and then we'll talk more about the marathon? And
okay, let's do that.
I think he has some questions for me.
I think he does. Mm-hmm. Yes, some very pointed questions. Here we go.
Hey, sports fans, it's Pip here. Just fresh off the marathon trail heading home. My legs are a bit achy. It was really nice to catch up yesterday with the good doctor, Steph, at the expo, and then a bunch of us had a nice dinner up on the 38th floor of the hotel with eventually some nice views of London once the torrential rain that Steph brought with her cleared up. But unfortunately, I didn't get to catch up with you, Steph, today after the marathon. Because you were so far ahead of me, you're like the Flash, you were just a blur, Speedy Gonzales. And also, you apparently felt it more important to rush off afterwards, rather than hang around to see me, rush off and see Nick. Nick? Really? Why on earth would you want to see him instead of me? Nah, come on, I'm only being serious. So, listen, Steph, I'd like to know, because I didn't get a chance to catch up with you, I'd like to know what you thought of the marathon. How did it go for you? What did you think of the route, the sights, the sounds, the crowds, the bands, the enormous variety of weather that we had today, and how it compared to other marathons? Maybe you can tell everyone the madness that you're considering doing next weekend as well. I think it's bad for your health, but, what do I know? You're the doctor. Anyway, it was lovely to catch up. Maybe catch up with some of you soon. Hey, you know what? If any of you APGers just happen to be in Lincoln, Nebraska next Friday, then give me a bell. I shall briefly be in town, heading across to pick up our latest Embraer Lemon aircraft that's come off the production line, and fly it back to Lisbon, Portugal. So that'll be a nice little adventure for me. Actually, also one of my last flights for a while, at least, on the Lemon, as I'll be heading stateside again a little later in the month in October to start my Challenger 350 rating, the Bombardier Challenger 350. Beautiful aircraft. So I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully catch up with some of you over the coming weeks. Anyhows, take care for now. Bye.
Let's back up for just a second here. Pip makes it sound like I didn't get to spend any time with him in London, but
he did make it sound like that.
He did, but let's just set the record straight on that. When I arrived on Saturday, actually I saw a fair amount of people while I was there for a very short trip. I met up with a couple running friends of mine. Saturday morning, I had breakfast with one of them. We went over to the expo together, and then Pip and his friend arrived at the expo, so I got to spend some time wandering around doing all the running things. Mostly we sampled some free snacks and chips and crisps and things, and convinced them to give us several bags of those for our own personal use. I think I left a bag at Nick's house.
Funny enough, I associate these running events with health.
No.
Well, that's your first mistake.
You're kidding me.
Like as Pip said, he doesn't think it's very healthy to do what Steph is.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll get to that. Let's go in chronological order here, because otherwise I'm going to forget things.
Right.
It was quite a line to get into the expo, because you had to. They were checking everyone's COVID tests, kind of, sort of, and there was just a very long queue to get into the expo in the first place. But anyway, got in. Made some purchases. You got to have running gear from each marathon. It's just a thing. So I try to limit myself to one item of clothing per marathon these days. I don't need more clothes. And so I met up with Pip at the expo. And then we ended up, as he did mention, going over to the hotel where he was staying, not too far away. There was a very nice restaurant and bar up on the 38th floor. And it did end up being very nice views of the city. But at first it was pouring rain. And I did not bring that weather with me, I'd just like to say. I think I brought the weather for the marathon itself with me, which was actually quite nice. Good running conditions. So I ended up spending a little bit of time with Pip for dinner, and then made my way back to my hotel, met up with another friend of mine who was running and staying at my hotel, had another beverage before going to bed. I think I had 3 beers that evening. I think that's recommended carb loading for a marathon.
What about alcohol loading?
Yeah, I think that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, alcohol and carb. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's carbs. And what else? Yeah, so then he asked about the race itself. So London, and the big reason why I wanted to get this one checked off the list of races, I've probably talked about it before, but there's a series of 6 races all around the world that are part of the Abbott World Marathon Majors series. And those are, there's 3 here in the U.S., Chicago, New York, Boston, and then 3 international marathons, London, Berlin, and Tokyo. And London was the only one that I had not yet done. So when you complete the entire series, you end up with, they give you this very large, nice medal, congratulations. Kind of used to be a more exclusive club. More and more people are finishing all the races now, but still very few in comparison to how many people run each of these marathons have done all 6. And it's just kind of I love the travel aspect of it. I like going different places, meeting different people. So it was a fun mission to get through all of those races. So, but in comparison to some of the other races, I thought London was great. I mean, the crowd support was fantastic. I think everyone was a little nervous because there haven't been any large races run in the past year and a half, basically. A lot of them canceled. A lot of them did virtual runs last year. Even this year, I think Tokyo canceled again for this year. Berlin happened the weekend before London, and that was the first major marathon to happen in, like I said, a year and a half. But yeah, the people of London and the UK were great. They came out, they cheered, they supported. This is a very nicely designed course because it goes past just a lot of the interesting highlights in London, right? So it goes past the Cutty Sark, and you run across Tower Bridge and down the embankment and past, the finish line is super iconic. It's right in front of Buckingham Palace. So yeah, that was excellent. My only real complaint was, compared to some other races, the water stops seemed pretty spread out, although they definitely wanted people to kind of carry their own water this year, so you weren't having so many touch points. And there was not a lot of sports drink available. There was some on the course, but not a ton. So that's my only kind of, I wish they had more water, more Gatorade, more Lucozade out on the course.
It was raining, wasn't it?
No, it was sunny.
Oh, okay. It had been raining the day before.
It rained the day before.
A lot of puddles, and there's a big river there as well.
So you can just scoop up some water?
Is that recommended to drink out of the Thames?
Oh, yeah. That river's lovely nowadays. Yeah, you get whales in it and things.
That's hilarious. But yeah, no, the race itself was lovely. It was a beautiful day for it. The weather was gorgeous. It was a little overcast in the morning. I think ended up topping out around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty good for racing. It was a little humid. Sun came out. It's a little breezy. Little breezy. Yeah. But no, it was a wonderful day. It was really nice. And then, as Pip said, I kind of just went back to the hotel, showered, and made my way down to Nick's place for the evening.
Thank goodness.
And Julie cooked a fabulous recovery meal, so my thanks to her again.
Drove a stick shift all the way down on the wrong side of the road.
But
luckily she didn't hit anybody.
I didn't hit anything.
It's not the first time that she's done that.
No, I've actually driven a fair amount in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Never in
I'm very impressed.
Yeah,
very impressed.
I can manage it. And I did get to meet with Adam Spink too, very briefly on Saturday morning when I got there. He was going into work, so we sat down and had a cup of tea.
Adam Spink, I don't know. We've heard of that guy.
I know.
Sounds a little familiar.
Yes. Good friend of the show.
Yeah.
What else? I feel like I'm probably forgetting something else.
He's got his own podcast, doesn't he, Adam?
Yeah, it's called the Plane Safety Podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
With sometime guests Pip and Al. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very true.
Speaking of, Pip is on his way already he mentioned going to Lincoln, Nebraska. I think he's on his way there starting as of today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So Stan over in the Facebook chat, we're trying to move him over to the where all the cool kids are in the YouTube chat. But he said that he's in Lincoln. Just moved there. So we're going to try to get him hooked up with Pip. Hopefully it's not too late.
Well, yeah, I don't think so. He's not there yet. He's currently, I think.
Oh, en route?
En route. So,
okay.
Should be
excellent.
Good. And Pip did allude to what I'm doing this coming weekend, which I've turned this into the running podcast. I'm sorry, but there's more running to be done this weekend. I'm going to be running 2 more of those World Marathon Majors, but ones I've done in the past. Chicago. This will be my 8th Chicago Marathon on Sunday, excuse me. And then on Monday, I'm running the Boston Marathon. So
wait a minute. So you're running two major marathons in a row.
Yes.
Back to back.
Technically,
having done the London one the week before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, as a doctor, would you recommend that to your patients?
No, it's not a good idea.
Patients? No? Okay.
But it's, so a lot of it, I enjoy the logistical challenge because I actually have to go to Boston first before I can go to Chicago because I have to pick up my bib there in person and show my COVID vaccination status card and get a wristband to prove that I've been vaccinated so they don't have to keep checking the cards and have to wear that all weekend. And then I have to go back to Chicago, run that race, and then back to Boston. And yeah.
I'm just tired hearing you talk about it.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun weekend. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. I can't wait to hear that.
I hope it all works out.
I hope so too.
No idea what you'll be like at the end of 2 marathons.
Yeah. I'm not sure either. I've never done something so dumb.
Well, good luck.
Quite so dumb.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I hardly need to say it, but anything else going on in your life, Steph?
I haven't done any flying.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah.
You've done plenty lately, haven't you?
Well, I've been on an airplane a lot in the past couple days, but it was nice. Good. On the way over, it was a nice plush business class seat, and I slept.
Did you come back in business?
No, premium economy. Which was actually, that was fine. It was actually I had a bulkhead seat, and the footrest is actually really nice on those because it's part of the seat. Because I think the other ones in that particular configuration, the footrest is on the seat in front of you. But this one was part of the seat, and it came out even farther, and it was a lot of leg room, and I didn't have to climb over the person next to me to use the lav, and they still served really nice meals, and I wanted to stay mostly awake for that flight anyway to get back on the correct time zone. So, it was nice.
I was just a bit concerned that you might cramp up if you didn't have lots of leg room.
Well, yeah. So, but the guy I was sitting next to was there for the marathon as well, but his wife and his friend ran. He did not. He just spectated, and he was going back a day early.
Very sensible.
We chatted a bit about it. Yeah. That was I think that was her 5th World Marathon Major. She was just waiting on Tokyo at this point.
Wow. Yeah. Brilliant. Yep. Aren't you glad you did that one a while back?
Yeah, I think I lucked out with the timing on that because they keep canceling that one. So.
Well, I'm just flabbergasted that you're doing all these marathons.
You mentioned your time going around London. I thought it was pretty impressive.
Oh, I ran a what did I run? 4:22, I think. Is that right? Yeah.
4:22 and a bit.
Yeah.
Was that one of your better times?
No, it's kind of middle of the pack, but very much on purpose, knowing that I had these 2 other races coming up this weekend. I'd like to race Chicago, but it's going to be 80 degrees in Chicago on Sunday. And I'd have to be rethinking my plan to try and go for a good time, especially with Boston the next day. I think I might just jog and enjoy it and maybe drink a beer along the way and high five all the kids. It's kind of what I did in London. I did go out fairly quick through the first half, and then I realized I should probably dial this back just a notch. And around mile 18, I actually got pretty hungry. I was like, wow, I need to eat something. And the Salvation Army was out with supporters, and they had a table set up with Coke and chips and almonds, and I had a bag of chips and a can of Coke. And then
I was hoping it would be like bangers and mash or something like that.
Yeah, no, it was like Doritos.
Something substantial.
Actually, it was Lay's. It was Lay's.
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. I might take a similar strategy in Chicago. We'll see. 80 degrees is awfully hot for marathon running.
Well, Dr. Dan, we need to fill him in. I know, it's not something that we do for every single person listening to the show, but Dr. Dan, we can do it for you. He said, "Stupid patience. I missed what Steph is up to coming up." So she just finished the London Marathon, and now she's going to do the Chicago and Boston marathons back to back this weekend.
Yep.
So, Dr. Dan, you're a doctor. Would you please give this doctor here
Some
medical advice, please. Of course, I don't think she's going to listen to anybody.
We'll do a curbside chat later. It's all right.
A psychiatrist, yes. Do we have any psychiatrist doctors in the chat room? I think that's what
they know we're a lost cause. They don't even try to reason with us anymore. Yeah.
They use our show as an example to the other, what not to be like these people.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
Excellent.
To see family and friends, and
Liz just sent me a message from the control room here that she has now got, let's see, who was it? Stan and Pip. Got them all hooked up via email. So hopefully they'll get a chance to meet up with each other, and then hopefully they'll record some audio and send it in, and we can play it on the next show. What do you think? Yeah.
That'd be great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. It's he made it here. Well, happy birthday. I mean, I would not have known that had it not been for the little bird in my ear telling me that. So happy birthday. Hamish, Robert, Rob, Dick, and
So
all the
many
above.
names.
Yeah. Anyway, so with that, I think is there anything else?
Hope not.
I don't think so.
Okay. More than enough, Liz says. More than enough. She's yawning. Okay, now it's time for the coffee fund. So let's talk about how you can become a supporter financially.
Johnny, how much more coffee? No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh yeah, that's Jeff Smith singing the APG Java Jive as we talk about the Coffee Fund and a couple of ways to support the show financially via the Coffee Fund. One's called the Coffee Fund Classic Method. And since the last episode, several have joined, or not joined, but participated in the Coffee Fund Classic. We have Alistair Kerr, Mazutz Karim, Randy Ackerman, Peter Kent, Adam Roney, and Keith Carlson. Thank you, one and all, for your generous contribution to the show. The other way to become a supporter is via Patreon. You can become a patron. And since the last show, we have a new producer. His name, Peyton. Or her name, that's right. It could be a her name. Anyway, whoever this person is, they just use one name because they don't want anybody to identify them or connect them in any way with supporting a show like this. Yeah. So if you're interested in, yes, we are happy to get their contributions. Thank you, Liz. And if you're interested in joining this Coffee Fund, Coffee Bar Club, Coffee Fund Cadre, please head over to airlinepilotguide.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did, and we will too.
Captain, incoming message.
Feedback. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. Let's see. How are we doing? Steph, you need to take a break, or
I'm good.
All right. All right, let's start with this from Ben in Australia. And he said, hearing Captain Roger Victor's acronym song on episode 489 brought back some memories of the start of my A330 course back in 2008. Whoa.
Uh-oh.
That was an acorn that hit the roof here. Man, sometimes
Did it come
startles.
through the roof?
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
Jeez.
Yeah, it's scary. It actually makes me jump when I hear those things coming down.
How big are acorns in America?
Well, I mean, it's a tin.
bigger
It's
over
it's
here.
like a steel. It's a steel roof, and there's no insulation, so it's just like the wood planks, and then probably some kind of material over the top of that, and then the actual steel roof or whatever it's made from.
So you got a hot tin roof.
A hot tin roof, and it's beautiful when the rain is coming down, but when those acorns hit, man, it startles the you-know-what out of me. I mean, I'd jump. I'm not used to it yet. But anyway, I don't know if you ever get used to that. So getting back to this here. On day one, so A330 course back in 2008. On day one, amongst the 18 manuals I was issued was this little gem, the AAD. It's called the Airbus Abbreviations Dictionary. I think we have an overlay of it. 91 pages of glorious abbreviations. Regards, Ben. Well, I lined them all up for you. Should be all in line.
I also love that they've actually abbreviated the Abbreviations Dictionary.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Made me laugh,
yeah. I'm
well, maybe not.
I'm looking at it thinking, I'm not sure if Airbus know what they're doing here, because they've got 5 letter A's.
Just the letter A.
So, yeah. So you could write down A, and it could be any one of 5
Air,
things.
alternate, amber, area.
Yep.
And that's just...
And what you really need is a copy of the AAAH.
The Airbus Approved Abbreviations Handbook.
Yes, that's right. For a complete list.
Okay. We need an APG Abbreviations Handbook, according to Liz.
Yeah. And some of them, like absorb, they've only abbreviated it by taking ER off the end. So absorb means absorber. And I'm going, really? Why don't just add the ER? What's the point of abbreviating something by
You save 2 letters there, though. You know?
Yeah.
And however long it takes you to type those 2 letters. Over the course of however many times you're going to write the word absorber, that could be significant savings.
Really?
Of course, you have to push
Possibly.
the cap locks button before you can type it, so you've really only saved 1 keystroke.
That's true. There you go. Anyway, I thought it was quite amusing.
It is. Definitely is. So thank you, Ben, for sending that in. And let's move on to the next item in our feedback. And this is some audio feedback from Jordan. Now, you remember that I met up with Jordan in Asheville a couple of weeks ago, and he had some exciting news for us that he was accepted to the flight attendant training program at Brickyard, I guess we're calling it. And he offered to send us some audio feedback periodically to kind of keep track of his experience. And sure enough, he did so. And here's his first installment. Take it away, Jordan.
Hey, APG crew. This is FA trainee Jordan. I just finished week 1 here at the training center in Indianapolis. This past week, we focused on getting acquainted with the company, general policies, and airline terminology. We dove in headfirst with an exam on day 1 on the virtual training that they sent us before we arrived here. And we moved right on to learning new information. Like I mentioned, we covered a lot of the basic stuff about our company. We got our electric flight attendant manuals, which is phenomenal. Any of you old school flight crew folks know how much of a pain it is to deal with a paper FAM. So having the iPhones that the company gives us is just so cool. We just kind of like I said, we dove in. We just started immediately learning all things airline. We're a unique carrier here at Brickyard. We fly for 3 major codeshares, as well as operating the largest fleet of Embraer E-jets in the world. Another facet of my initial training this past week has been aircraft familiarization. So because we fly the Embraer E-jet family, we can get familiarized on one aircraft, and that'll cover us. So we actually got to go out to our maintenance facility on the airport, go to a plane that was in maintenance, and see and feel and hear all the real stuff. It was really interesting, and there's just nothing like walking up to a plane on the ramp level. I mean, it's a special feeling. The finale to this past week, though, was we got to learn about the phases of flight. So pre-flighting, passenger boarding, taxi, learned all about sterile cockpit and all the accidents that come with all these different phases and why we do things the way we do them. Takeoff, cruise, service, landing, taxi in, and deplaning. And then that all came to a head with a mock flight with our instructors as our flight attendants in our 1/2 scale. I guess not 1/2. They just cut out half of the seats. They just cut off the back of the plane. And our cabin trainer in the training center. And it was a fantastic representation of kind of what we need to know. for regular day-to-day operations, and it helped to put together a lot of what we learned over the past week. Next week, we start emergency equipment and aircraft emergencies, and I am so excited to share with y'all a lot of the high points. Blue skies, tailwinds, and passing grades to all. See you next time.
Excellent. Great to hear your feedback, and look forward to hearing how your journey goes with learning to be a flight attendant for Brickyard. And he mentioned code shares. That this airline flies for 3 major airlines here in the U.S. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for the update. Send some more.
Yes. All right. Let's continue then with this feedback from Luke. Would imagine L-U-C is pronounced Luke. Let's see. I've been listening to the show for a few years during my drive to and from the airport, as well as during my runs. I've not been giving any feedback yet, but I really appreciate the APG crew, and you're doing a great job. Plain tales are, for me, the best part of the show. Yes, for many they are, Luke. A colleague of mine shared an Airbus Tech Refresher YouTube video. I don't want to add to the Airbus versus Boeing argument, but maybe it is worth sharing. There are several tech refresher videos on the channel like this one. And so let me go over here and set up the share video thing. My dog is barking again, as you can hear, and I haven't actually met my dog yet, but I'm getting used to its bark. Yeah, my dog Acme. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, maybe that's what. If I get a dog, I'll name it Acme. Maybe.
Yes, that's the only appropriate name.
Definitely.
All right, here we go. Wait, is this right? No, this is not it. Sorry.
And it doesn't look like a baseball player.
No, I must have clicked on the wrong video. I am so sorry. We'll see that one later.
It's a good job you didn't click on the wrong video that you were going to look at later.
Oh, yeah. Well, I try to keep those on a different machine. Here we go.
Beta target rap. Let's go. Listen to me now and don't bother getting skeptical, cause when an engine fails your thrust gets asymmetrical. But thanks to the Airbus, and it's a great law, service deflects to reduce the roll in the yaw. And the very best part about it, as you surely see, is that it does all of this automatically. While this automatic deflection makes it easy to fly around, who needs the extra drag? We want to get away from the ground. Best way to fly is with these surfaces retracted. Airbus tried to make sure you don't get distracted, so as a way to show you just exactly what to do, the side slip index changes colors from yellow to blue. So center it, brother, center it, brother, center that mother by stepping on the rudder. Center it, brother, center it, brother, center that mother by stepping on the rudder. So let me tell you, brother, if you don't wanna sweat, make sure that you center that beta target. Now let me pause a moment, there's something to make clear. There are just a few things you need to make it appear. It only shows up with an engine asymmetry, and you must have selected configs 1, 2, or 3. Here's my beta target advice, please don't refuse it. When an engine fails at takeoff, you need to know how to use it. The first thing you do is find the pitch that is best. Start with about 12 degrees, then follow the SRS. Once you got the pitch set, gently squeeze in some rudder. I say it again, you gotta center it, brother. I know it feels good, but don't play with your stick until after you center that beta target. Once you got it sorted, now move the closest limb to the edge of the pedestal and start working the trim. You're flying like a pro, now you hit the big time. With the beta target centered, you'll fly straight and climb. So center it, brother, center it, brother, center that mother by stepping on the rudder. Center it, brother, center it, brother, center that mother by stepping on the rudder. Hey.
All right. So
I love that. I think it's absolutely brilliant and perfectly technically correct.
I would hope so. And are they going to do the entire manual?
He's done quite a few videos, actually.
Are there? Okay.
He's also going to do the Airbus Abbreviations dictionary. And,
oh, no. That could be a very long video.
91 pages.
Yeah. But
Liz,
the rhyming, I thought, was very good, wasn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, that was absolutely brilliant. I managed to get all that in there. Yeah. And if you were in any doubt, we now know what to do with the beta target.
And the fact that it changes from blue to yellow or yellow to blue?
Yellow to blue.
Okay, yellow to blue.
With a bit of engine asymmetry.
Yeah. Nick, you should think about maybe doing some of these.
I mean, flaps 1, 2, or 3.
All right. I think he's watched this a few times.
No. But I can wear my hat backwards. Does that help?
Maybe a little bit. No, no, doesn't help at all.
I'll wear it forwards.
Yes.
Steph needs to do a duet with Nick.
It's on the album, actually.
It's on the album. Oh, okay. Interesting.
We've already recorded.
Yeah, we can't wait. All right.
Some production delays, though.
That's really cool. Thank you, Luke, for sending that in. That was very entertaining.
Can we have one every week, please?
I don't know. I'm wondering if YouTube is going to get upset with me playing that, but who knows? We'll see. They might. That slaps. Okay, that's what Masha says. I never heard that term, but yeah, it slaps. You know it, girl. All right.
It's just sad, isn't it, Masha?
Uh-oh. I was going to play some audio feedback from Grinner, but it's not there. What happened to it?
It's all gone.
I don't know. Let me see if I can find the folder from which I copied it. And I hear a lawnmower. I didn't know anybody had a lawnmower up here at the cabin on my little lane. Hopefully you can't hear that. Oh, here I have this. So let me pop that back in, so to speak. Okay. Are we all ready to hear the audio feedback from Grinner?
Yes.
You bet.
Let's do it.
Hello, Jeff, Nick, Steph, Rick, and all APGs. It's Derek here, aka Grinner, and greetings from good old Blighty. I thought I'd just take the opportunity to leave a little bit of voice feedback for you. And first of all, my nickname, Grinner, was my call sign. In fact, it was presented to me on day 2 of pilot training, way back in early 1984, and it stuck with me ever since. I'd just like to put one point, or correct one point. Nick and Nigel accused me of going to fly Jaguars, and I would just like to point out I didn't go to fly Jaguars. I was an air-to-air man through and through. In fact, I flew Lightnings. That was the English electric variant as opposed to the modern F-35. Flew the Lightning for 2 years and then moved on to the Tornado F3, so remained in the air-to-air role until I retired from the Air Force in early 2004. In fact, Nick and I managed to avoid each other for most of the time in the Air Force, but we did have the opportunity to fly with each other twice on the same day. In fact, it's 22nd of May 1991 when Nick was a flight commander up at Lucas, and I was up there with a couple of other qualified weapons instructor pilots, and we were clearing all of the Lucas wing pilots to go off and do air-to-air gunnery dual checks before they went off and fired live bullets. And Nick and I flew together twice on the same day. Believe that the first sortie there was a problem with the banner, so we ended up going off and just doing some 1v1. But then we successfully managed to complete Nick's dual check on the second flight. So that was it. I would like to leave a little bit of feedback on the old pilot's plain tales. The 4 instructors went into a bar because it was just delightful to hear some fantastic and extremely funny stories from 4 people that I knew to a greater or lesser extent. Particularly Barry, who talked about his injection from lightning whilst practicing for low-level aerobatics to be the display pilot. And in fact, Barry and I served on the same squadron when I was a very, very young flying officer straight out of pilot training. Flying officer for the Americans is first lieutenant or first lieutenant. And I was programmed to fly on the very first wave of the day, as the junior pilot often gets stitched with. And I walked out to the aeroplane with my wingman or leader, I can't remember which way around it was. And I was getting strapped into my big Lightning, ready to launch off to go and do some exercise, whilst Barry was starting to commence his practice. I didn't actually see the whole event. I saw the outcome, because I was too busy getting strapped into the aeroplane and just getting really, really involved in what I needed to be doing. And the ground crew who'd strapped me in came rushing back up the stairs and, Sir, you need to get out. And I'm sort of looking at him going, what? Go away. No, I don't. I'm trying to get airborne. He goes, no, sir. No, you need to get out. And he just stood on the ladder next to me and pointed across the airfield. And right in front of me, as I looked up, there was a big, big plume of very black smoke rising from the other side of the airfield, like a big mushroom cloud. And as I lifted my head up to look up, there was this little man on the end of a parachute, which was Barry, having successfully managed to eject. At which stage, I sort of look across at the guy in the other aeroplane, who shrugs. We gently unstrap, and we walked back into the squadron. And thankfully, Barry was uninjured, apart from a slightly sore back, and I think he probably suffered a little bit of a sore head later that evening. I don't think we did much flying for the rest of the day. So anyway, that's my little bit of feedback to add to Barry's story from last week. The other stories that came out from the instructing world were absolutely fantastic, had me howling with laughter, particularly the student pilot who couldn't find Loch Ness because he wasn't over it. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Nearly drove off the road laughing. But please do some more, Nick. They were absolutely fantastic. And great podcast. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Derek, otherwise known as Grinner. Now, he mentioned that he got that nickname just out of pilot training, I think, or during pilot training. He didn't tell us why, though. I mean, I'm just assuming it's because he always has a grin on his face. Yeah.
I must admit, I don't recall flying with Grinner. I would have hoped I would have remembered his big grin, but apparently not. But I did actually look in my logbook, and there it is. Focus. There you go.
Oh, here, let me. Okay.
Lieutenant Smith. There we go.
All right. Look at that.
ZE 888, Flight Attendant Smith. Airway Gunnery Duel. DNCO. Duty not carried out. The banner failed. And I'm trying to remember what happened. I have a feeling the banner wouldn't fly straight. It wouldn't fly vertical. It was sort of close to being level, in which case you can't really shoot on it, or you can't judge the distance, etc.
Is it one of those kind of banners that you see like at sporting events and that kind of thing, where you're like Eat at Joe's or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Joe's Diner. Okay.
It's about 30-something feet long and about 6 or 7 feet tall, and it's held up by a big bar with a weight on one end to hold it vertical. But if that weight isn't brilliant, then it'll sort of fly strangely. Anyway, apparently we did some combat. I don't remember that. Did we win? I hope so, Grinner.
Well, if no one remembers, you can claim that you did.
Yeah, that's very true. But we got a dual check done the next one, which was brilliant. Anyway, thanks very much for the feedback. I have to say we did receive it. You did it all right. It's just that the system fell down, and the email you sent wasn't correctly addressed because it gets rerouted to Jeff, because he gets an awful lot of them.
He correctly addressed it. It's just that I have a system that goes from one email server and sends it to my Gmail server, and then from there it gets into the system to go to our Evernote notebooks. And I know it's complicated, and I need to do something to fix that, because I went back and I hardly ever look at the actual real airlinepilotguy.com email server. And sure enough, I did a search for Derek, and I saw your audio that you sent back in August 1st. So I do apologize for the little glitch. I hate to use that term, but everybody seems to these days. So sorry for the glitch. I'll try to take steps to keep that from happening again in the future. And please don't feel discouraged that we didn't play it right away, because we would love to hear more audio feedback from you.
Absolutely, yeah. And as regards getting the 4 QFIs together again, well, the problem is getting them together when they're sober, because, usually it's a nightmare. So I'll do my best, but we'll see.
Oh, that's great. All right. All righty. Thank you again, Derek, or Grinner. And let's continue on with this feedback from Ernie. He said, I have some feedback on the article about the ballooning accident in episode 468. What, was it really that long ago? Wow. 468. I know one of Brian's ballooning friends. Okay, Brian was the gentleman that was the experimental balloonist or balloonatic who ended up falling out or getting bounced out of the gondola or whatever you call the thing, and was hanging from it and then ended up falling to his death. So we were talking about it. I'd never heard of him or any of these exploits, but I think one of the things that had us tripped up was the fact that, and the information that we were using to talk about this rather freakish accident was the fact that he didn't have any ballooning certificates. And apparently that was just bad information, according to Brian.
Or that he didn't have like a commercial certificate or something. There was something odd about, I forget exactly. But
I'm sorry, Brian is the balloonist. According to Ernie, he did, in fact, and I'm trying to find the place in his email that he talked about the
down at the very
ratings.
bottom, just on the FAA registry. It says he's got commercial pilot rating for lighter than air balloon, private privileges for airplane, single engine land.
There you go. So because I think I even remarked, I'm thinking, well, if he's taking passengers up, I don't know if he's charging them or anything. He'd have to have a commercial certificate, I would think. And he did. So, or a commercial rating. Yeah. So I'm glad that we were able to set that straight. He also sent us a lot of things regarding Brian and his experience and life. And we're going to include a link to this note with all these references in the show notes. So if you're interested in learning more about Brian, please do check it out. He said, Ernie, this is again Ernie, in looking for images of his more unusual creations, I came across these videos. Apparently the VW van that they used as a gondola is still around. Apparently the VW van was also like a self-contained chase vehicle, and they actually could use it to get back to, from
a recovery vehicle. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. Anyway, I tried to play this video earlier in the show, and I got it all queued up. So let's take a look. This is from someone, I think from Vermont, like a Vermont public television program, and he did a whole episode about Brian, and I'll play just a little bit of it.
Well, hello.
Hello.
I'm Ryan Miller. Welcome
Hi, Ryan.
To episode number 6 of Making Friends with Ryan Miller. I'm in a balloon. That's Brian. We're going to go in a balloon. We're going to talk about balloons. We're going to talk about life, philosophy, egg sandwiches. Talk to you soon. Making friends.
This guy has a
It's Ryan
television
Miller.
show?
Yeah. That's great. Come on, Steph. It's great. Okay, now we're seeing some pictures of Ryan and Brian, and they're filling the balloon envelope. And Ryan is doing peekaboo or something. You'll have to watch the video. We'll have it in the show notes. Very entertaining. Anyway, so here's some good footage of Brian and Ryan in the balloon gondola as they're floating above the skies in Vermont. Okay, and it's getting noisy. It looks like they're having, and it sounds like they're having fun. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and fade this out and...
Holy crap!
Okay. It's very entertaining for sure. So you should check it out.
I feel too sober to watch that right now.
Yeah, I think you should be smoking something.
Yes,
to watch that and enjoy it properly.
I think he takes during the filming, actually. Not sure.
No, did he say making friends or something? Naked friends.
Yes.
Naked Friends with Ryan Miller. Check it out on your local Vermont public radio or public broadcasting television.
Now, out of interest, he's a Boland. That's not a frantically common name, and there are lots of Bolands in my wife's family tree. So I'm wondering if there's some connection.
Could be.
It might account for her strange mental state, but there you go.
So Liz is saying, are you saying that Jilly is full of hot air?
Amongst other things.
And, but it would make sense if Jilly was a little, kind of crazy to have married you. Yeah. So.
Oh, no, I think you'll find it's her heritage.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. Thank you, Ernie, for sending in and straightening us out as far as his ratings and certificates and such. Oh, are we at that magical time?
Wow.
What?
Oh, no, we're not. I'm sorry. I misunderstood the direction from the control room. I thought it was time for Plain Tales, but it's not. It's time now for some more audio feedback. And this... Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the screen. Oh, okay. Sorry, Liz. I let you down. Ernie was keeping us at 50%. That's what Liz was trying to communicate with me. You'd have to assume I'm not looking at the window with the StreamYard thing going on, Liz. Yeah. All right. Let's continue then with some more feedback. Okay. iHall Boxes says, so Nick's appreciation for balloons stems from a family feud?
I think we could probably say my lack of appreciation for balloons.
I think that's more accurate. All right. Let's continue. We have some audio feedback, a lot of audio feedback from Lydon, or I like to call him Lydon. And we're going to start off with number 1.
Hello, APG crew and community. It's Lydon here again. It has been a while since I've sent in a question or some feedback. So here I am. Mainly because I've been very busy and have not had the time to listen to your podcast, but I am catching up.
What?
I mainly listen to now instead of my car on my walks, my long walks to the other side of campus. But my question for today is, are there any alarms for long-haul flying to keep the pilots awake on the Airbus? Because I've seen a video. I was watching a video of pilots crossing the Pacific Ocean, and there's like a little snippet of them deactivating an alarm. Well, letting the alarm go off because there was no interaction with any of the flight controls. So they let it go off to demonstrate what would happen if pilots fell asleep or nobody was in the cockpit for some period of time. And I think after 30 minutes, I'm not sure, but after a period of time, the alarm went off, and I was just curious to know more about that system. And if it is in the Airbus, because the plane that was in the video was a 777. So that's all my question for now. Thank you for the lovely podcast and giving me things to listen to on my long walks on the beach and campus and etc. Hope all is well. Thanks again, and see you around. Hello, APG crew and community. It's Lydon. I forgot to bring up another question I had, and it was about instrument training, and was wondering if you guys had any advice, any tips to give to me before going into my instrument training, and while I am in my instrument training. I'm all ears for any advice that you guys have. I am starting my instrument ground school next week, so just wondering if you guys have any advice for that. Thanks.
Yes, my advice, don't do it. No. The first question, Nick, regarding the timer or warning, anything like that? I have no idea.
No, not in the Airbus. We're way too disciplined to fall asleep and need a timer on the cockpit to wake us up again. For
Right.
Although, to tell the truth, I have seen people pitch up with a cooking timer, and if we're doing, crew rest recovery, where one pilot sleeps on a night flight to get a few minutes shut eye because he's having trouble with low arousal, then the other pilot will kind of wind one of these up, set it for 20 minutes, and which I think is the Boeing timer. It's 20 minutes, I think. And you've just got to touch a switch that's connected to the computer system to reset that. So if you just don't touch a switch for 20 minutes, it kind of bing bongs at you. And they've sort of set that so that if perchance they do fall asleep, then it goes ding. And that's a lot cheaper than fitting one into the aircraft, I suspect. No, Airbus has not done that.
I was expecting, some of the cars, like the lane assist and that kind of thing, and then if you keep your hands off the steering wheel, it says steering required. Just wondering if they have that kind of a system.
Nah.
I haul boxes. The 777 will coma up with I'm not sure he meant it that way, with a warning saying pilot response required after a while. I forget the exact time. Okay. Yeah, they're probably in a coma, and that's why they have that system. Okay, very good. And then, part 3. Here we go.
Oh, instrument training?
I already gave my advice, Liz.
Oh, okay. What?
Don't do it. No. Steph, do you have some better advice for Lydon?
So it's been a while, but I vaguely remember because I was also in the process of moving and was going to have to start with a new flight school around the time when I was about to start my instrument training, but kind of in that gap time in between. I don't know if they still have it or not, but Sporty's had a course and a series of videos that you could watch on iPad or your phone, and just explaining some of the basics and reading through charts and things like that. So that was actually pretty helpful, and I don't recall that it was terribly expensive. And it was.
Were they rap videos?
Sadly they're not, but
no, okay.
Perhaps that guy has some videos about instrument training and procedures that would be more entertaining. But no, they were well done, and they were each one was relatively short. It was just snippet of information at a time, so it wasn't super overwhelming.
All right, good advice. Much better than my advice.
I agree with your advice, though, too.
Just
don't do it.
All right, and let's continue with his third installment. Take it away, Lydon.
Hello, APG crew and community. It is Lydon once again. Today, this is my third voice audio feedback that I've sent in, because I keep on forgetting to mention things. This is, I think, the final thing I have to mention is that I will be flying to South Carolina, Clemson, to go visit my girlfriend, and I will be transiting through Atlanta on October 6th at night. I don't think Jeff will be in Atlanta at 9 p.m. But on my returning trip to Boston, I'm going to be connecting from Greenville, Spartanburg, to Atlanta. And I saw that it is a 717 on Acme Airlines. So, hint, hint, hopefully maybe you could pick that trip up, and that would be a great time to meet you, if that's possible. If not, it's fine. But yeah. I should be in the Atlanta area, and that should be exciting. Hopefully I can meet you. And I think that's really it. But yes, thanks again. And this should be my last audio feedback for a while, hopefully. See you guys around.
Okay,
Did he mention which date he was returning, though?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
I'm writing down all the pertinent details.
I want whatever he's smoking.
Actually, I do have another recommendation for instrument training.
Oh, okay.
Caffeine.
Caffeine,
You might want to consider caffeine in your life.
And people complain about the rate of speech coming from Nick and myself. Yeah. But Lydon, I think he got us beat.
Hands down.
Anyway, so yeah, obviously I was not at the Atlanta airport last night, which was October 6th. And I'm not scheduled to fly again until Monday, but I did check my schedule just for the heck of it, and I'm not scheduled to fly any flights from Greenville, Spartanburg to Atlanta anytime this month. So that pretty much covers it all. And by the way bidding for schedules works is that right now we're in the process of looking at November, and the bids are due in a few days for the November period. And I will know basically around about midway through the month of the previous month. So yeah, my October schedule was already set by the time you sent the feedback into us, so I couldn't do anything about that. But anyway, I hope you have a good flight anyway. And
a nice time transiting the Atlanta airport. I just want to say, Jeff, your neighbor's lawn must be pristine at this point.
Well, can you still hear that?
Yes.
Okay, well, it looks like, shoot, I was looking down at the lights on my noise gate, and I didn't think that was actually getting through, but I can understand why it is, because it's not quiet. And I figured by coming up here into the mountains in a cabin that I would never have to worry about this.
Escape for some peace and quiet.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be very peaceful. And you know what? Honestly, most of the time it is very peaceful up here. But the one day that my neighbor, he must have known that we were going to be recording the show today. So I'm going to drive on up there to the cabin, and I'm going to make as much noise as possible. I'm going to bring a barking dog. And I'm going to get my leaf blower and lawnmower going so that Jeff.
He's there. He's like, I came up here for peace and quiet, but man, it's just too quiet. What can I do?
Yeah, it's just too quiet, apparently.
To break up the silence.
I do apologize for all that noise in the background, but it's not the first time that you've heard that from my microphone, and it will not be the last, I'm sure, unfortunately. Anyway. Okay. I believe we can continue on.
We can do this next one, before...
Yeah. Now, is this the same Stan that was going to... This is Stan that's going to possibly meet up with Pip in Lincoln, Nebraska. Oh, cool. He sent this in to us. A quick feedback about Cape Air. They have a training contract, and they don't seem to hire a lot of first officers. You don't need an ATP to be a Part 135 pilot in command. It's the minimum Steph read, 1,200 total time, 500 cross-country, and 100 night. I went through all this recently when I was applying, but ended up getting offers from 2 different companies that do strictly on-demand flying. It's been a challenging and rewarding past couple of years since I first started training 2 summers ago towards my private at Sling Pilot Academy in Southern California. Oh, you just started a couple of summers ago. That's pretty good. I've been listening to APG all along the way, and I'm still enjoying the show, especially the accents. Oh,
I think he was enjoying your Southern accent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, apologies to anybody that may have been offended by my Southern accent. Since then, we've moved to Fargo. Oh, I wonder if he's going to make it to the meetup on Saturday.
I don't think so, because he's moving.
He's going to be in Nebraska. Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, after a busy summer of aerial survey, my wife and I are getting packed up to move to Nebraska next. Oh, there it is, right there. Move to Nebraska next week, where I'll start training as a first officer in a Cessna Citation XL. I'm really excited to fly the jet, and it's a good looking jet.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks again, APG crew, Nebraska Stan, the pilot formerly known as Stanimal. All right. So
he's not Stan the man. Okay.
Not Stan the man, not Stanimal. He's just Nebraska Stan. Although I like Stanimal better. Yeah. Anyway.
Nebraska.
Okay. Nebraska? Yeah. That's Nebraska.
Nebraskan.
Nebraskan Stan. Well, we'll work on it.
Yeah.
Maybe you and Pip can come together and come up with some kind of catchy name. What? Stanaska? Did somebody in the chat room come up with that, or was that you?
That was
All
me.
right. Way to go, Steph. Ooh. All right. Let's quickly do this next one from Tim Van Raam. Ever heard of that guy? He's out there in the Bay Area of Northern California.
Looks like a nice day there today anyway.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't see that. He sent in a picture.
Yep.
So do I need to share that, or it's probably going to be too much hassle to share that?
It's just take our word for it. It looks like a lovely day in the...
A lovely day in the San Francisco Bay Area. Okay. A beautiful view from his office. Okay, well, anyway, Tim sent us this. He says, sharing this story of this young woman's journey, I certainly hope it goes well for her. Smooth skies and cheesecake. Okay.
I like cheesecake.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share a video that explains what the heck Tim is talking about here, this journey by this young woman. And it's right here. Open. Okay.
My name is Zara Dafit. I'm 19 years old, and this summer I'm flying solo around the world.
And now she's going to use a different language. I hope to be the youngest woman and inspire other girls to go into aviation and science. All right. So it's called FlyZolo. And I think her name is, what did she say? Zara? Okay, that's enough of that. Let's stop the video and... oh, nope. Not started again, Jeff. Stop it. Okay. FlyZolo.com. Again, she's Zara, and she's 19 years old. On the 18th of August, she set off from Belgium, heading west. Her route takes her through the UK, Iceland, Greenland, Canada, USA, Latin America to Colombia, then back north via Alaska to Russia, China, Indonesia, India, Middle East, and then back to Belgium, where I plan to arrive in early November. Although I looked just yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be more like early December now. She's flying a Shark, which is a high-performance ultralight aircraft manufactured in Europe. It's incredibly fast, with cruising speeds reaching 300 kilometers per hour, which I believe is around 140 knots. The aircraft has been specially prepared for such a long journey.
It looks very impressive.
Yeah, I'm going to share.
It looks quick.
Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and share this with the live audience. And then again, as always, it'll be something that you can look up in our show notes, folks.
It's got one of those Rotax 100 horsepower engines.
Okay, here we go. Yeah. Share. All right. That is the live tracking window on the FlyZolo website. Right now she's in Alaska. 52 countries, 5 continents, and there is the kind of the track that she has taken and is planning to continue. Let's see. Here's a picture of that Shark. It's a very, I can understand why they call it a Shark. It does kind of look like a shark tail on the back, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Yeah, Virgin is a sponsor, apparently.
Woohoo.
I was going to show something else. Where is it? Okay, so there's like an arrivals board here that shows all the places that she has already been and where she is right now. It looks like she arrived on September 30th in Nome. And then October 1st through the 9th, she's doing Operation Miffy. And I looked everywhere on the site, and I cannot figure out what that means. I don't know what Operation Miffy is, but apparently she's doing something while they're in Alaska, and then she'll continue on to Russia. Maybe somebody can find out.
Oh, it has to do with, I saw this actually on a group page. It has to do with a little stuffed animal, and I'm not sure all the details.
Oh,
but I think
okay.
I just quickly Googled it again. She has a YouTube or Facebook post about it too.
Okay.
About Operation Miffy. Yeah.
So Miffy is a stuffed animal. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a stuffed bunny.
Okay. Very cool.
I'm not sure what it has to do with anything, but that's, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a story and a background to it too.
Looks like she's making good progress, and that's a bunch of countries and quite a journey for such a young lady, but it's very inspirational for sure, I'd say.
Mm.
So check it out by heading over to FlyZolo.com. And Control Room says, perfect timing, Jeff. You're so good. No, she didn't say that part. I added that. And it is now time for us to do the best part of the show, according to many of you, and that is something that we call the plain tale. And so without further ado, I'm going to try to find that. Here he is. All right. Take it away, old pilot.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales, the Mike Wildman Story. When I first heard that Mike Wildman, a pilot colleague of mine, had been forced to suffer a leg amputation, I was devastated for him. As you will discover, though, when one door closes, another opens. This tale is just the start of his story, the story of a fascinating life in aviation.
My dad was an electronics engineer, as my mum was initially, and that had a kind of aviation bent, and I think that's where my interest initially came from, because my father was managing director of a company called Penny and Giles, and they made the first black boxes in the UK for Concorde and British Airways and all sorts of jets, and I think we might have even flown with them in our Virgin Atlantic aeroplanes. I think at about 11 years old or something like that, Dad took me to Farnborough, and I've got a vivid memory of Concorde getting airborne. We were in the chalets, and so we were quite far back from the line. But I can remember the earth shaking with those 4 afterburners in as it got airborne, and just being completely mesmerised and hooked by it. And that's kind of my earliest, God, I want to be a pilot memory. Initially I was in the Boys Brigade growing up, and I've always liked being in kind of organisations. The Boys Brigade was an absolutely fantastic organisation. I was there from about 8 years old. But then when the flying looked like it was going to become an influence in my life, then I swapped across, as we do at 13, to the Air Training Corps, and joined the Air Training Corps at 13 as well. I went to the RAF at 18 after my A-levels, went all the way through the aptitude tests, etc., and the interviews at Biggin Hill, as it was in those days. Passed them all, but then was told that I didn't have the level of maturity required. So I went off to university. Hard to imagine, isn't it, Nick? So I went to university. Halfway through university, I applied for a bursary. Did the entire selection procedure again, passed it all, was still told that they didn't think my level of maturity was high enough. So I did a 4-year degree. It was a business studies degree, which I didn't particularly want to do, but I just had to go and get a degree because they hadn't taken me on. At that stage, I was working behind the bar at Bournemouth Flying Club, just because I wanted to be around aeroplanes. I went back to my boss at Bournemouth Flying Club and said, I need a job for the next 9 months. It needs to look like it's something sensible. So we said that I was going to install a computer system, but in fact I was cleaning and refueling the aeroplanes every day. But what it meant is that I could work and get 1 hour's flying a week. So I did 1 hour's flying a week for nearly 6 months. And then I worked nights in a warehouse to get money to live. So I was working 7 days a week, day and night, but it gave me a chance to get my PPL. I did that for 6 months, and then I was really lucky that a company at Bournemouth, which is now called Draken and was Cobham, but was then Flight Refueling Limited, paid for an Air League flying scholarship. Then I was suddenly able to finish the whole thing in about 6 weeks flat, flying every day, and that was marvellous. So in my year out in industry, I managed to go away and get a PPL. So when I came back at the end of university, went back to the Air Force for the 3rd time, either they were impressed with that or they were just tired of me keep coming back, but eventually they offered me a job. And I did my initial flying training and lead-in for fast jets on the Jet Provost 5. So I was lucky that I didn't have to fly the JP3, which apparently was a challenge.
I found it interesting.
I'm sure. So I was lucky, went straight into that. So I did a 1.5 years at Cranwell, was streamed onto the Hawk, went off to Valley and completed the Hawk course, got my wings at Valley, went off to Chivner, which we called Heaven in Devon. Do you remember that?
I went to Brodie myself.
Did you? Yeah, we had two tactical weapons units. I went there, and that's where the wheels started to come off a bit. I was working pretty hard, not enjoying it anymore, and basically we decided to call it quits then. And I went off to fly multi-engine aeroplanes, which probably wasn't a bad thing. I ended up, instead of being a below average fast jet pilot, I was above average multi-engine pilot, so probably not a bad thing. Then went off and was posted to Lydon, to the C-130 Hercules. The C-130 was just such a fabulous plane. Massively overpowered. We had the stretch version because it had much more carrying capability than it had actual space to carry the freight. So from a carrying point of view, so it was overpowered, which meant it was great fun to fly. I was on a tactical squadron, which meant we did do the flying around the world at low speed, going to parties sort of thing, the grey and green party machine. I remember going to Hong Kong, and it took us 3 days to get there. And when you think that on the 340, it was 11 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so, so lots of fun flying around the world, but also the main squadron's task there was support of the parachute battalion. And so the idea is that you'd get up to 16 aircraft flying in formation, and then have a parallel drop zone where 8 would be dropping 600 guys, and on the other side of the landing zone you'd be dropping small tanks, vehicles, ammunition, all the stuff that's required. So you could effectively drop an entire battalion and its equipment in something like a minute and a half over an airfield, and that was very exciting as well. The guys, we'd fly around at sub 250 feet, then pop up to 500 feet and drop the guys out. And when you think these guys were flying with no reserve, the parachutists were jumping out with no reserve from 500 feet.
Wow.
And they were expecting something like 1% casualty rate. Well, when you're dropping 600 guys, that's 5 or 6 guys every time getting injured or killed. So it was very operational and very enjoyable.
You were in the first Gulf War, yeah?
Yeah, we were, and that was interesting. We shipped out to Riyadh initially. And we were based out there for a number of months, and a few other airfields as well. Again, flying various missions, sometimes behind enemy lines. There was some interesting stuff going on.
Were you involved in dropping our special troops back there?
A little bit of that, yep.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And I was explaining to somebody the other day, it was in the embryonic stage of GPS. So we didn't really have GPS. We had an iron asset that didn't work very well. GPS was just about coming in, and we were flying around, over the desert at low level using a map and a stopwatch, and maps that had come from 30 or 40 years before, and you'd be flying along, and suddenly there'd be a 6-lane highway come below you. There's nothing on the map, so it was a very interesting time.
So you were also out in Bosnia.
Yeah.
Similar sort of work out there?
Well, that was interesting because by that stage I'd come home, and I'd been lucky enough to get an exchange with the Belgian Air Force, and they were inserting special forces. If you remember at the time in Sarajevo, people were getting shot crossing the road by snipers.
Oh, absolutely. It was awful, wasn't it?
And so our job was to sort of take some people in and try and resolve the situation. But that was quite hairy. I remember one particular time when we flew in and we landed these guys, and they were walking mortars, crump, 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 across the airfield towards the aeroplane, and that was quite something. I was down in Mombasa, flying in and out of Somalia, and somehow, well, obviously I got bitten by a female, as you do, because it's only the females that carry malaria. I don't know if you know that. And I caught something called falciparum. There's 2 lots of malaria. One which keeps coming back, which isn't so serious, but falciparum is 3 days coma, 4 days death. It's that quick. I came back to Belgium, was feeling, it's got about a 2-week incubation period. Came back, was feeling desperately sick. Went to see the doctors at Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, saw an American doctor who said that she thought there was nothing wrong with me. She sent me home. I came back the next day because I was so ill. Unfortunately, there was a British doctor there who'd been down in Belize and done the tropical medicine course, and said, I think it could be malaria. I was airlifted to Vegberg on day 3, where I did go into a coma, and I survived. They saved me. So one of my many near-death experiences, Nick. The first of many.
You've had a few,
yes,
absolutely. That is terrifying, because it was only really your story there that made me so aware of it, and I think our union did a great job getting us some decent protection from that when we used to fly to these places, because I think Nigeria was second on the list of the worst areas in the world for
and a couple of our pilots did actually get falciparum, I know.
Wow. So going back to your C-130 flying, have I left anything out, or is there more?
Well, Somalia was interesting, because I've read some books about the guys in the Gulf War on tornadoes, and what a bizarre sort of lifestyle it was, where they were flying out of, I think, Muharraq, and living this fantastic lifestyle in the evening, and then going and flying off into war during the daytime. And we had a similar thing. We were based in the Serena Beach Hotel down in Mombasa, which was a kind of 5-star plus hotel with 2 crews. And so we had 1 day on, 1 day off. And on our day on, we'd be flying down into a war zone, into Kismayo and Somalia, in support of Belgian forces and the United Nations and all the stuff that was going on down there. And it was all pretty grim. And then we'd come home and then be sat by the pool and living this fabulous lifestyle. And it was quite surreal.
Yeah.
But again, that was great fun, ultra low flying, really because it was fun, because I don't think they had any sort of surface-to-air missile threat or anything like that. That was just because we could. And we were there for 6 weeks at a time, and it was really, really enjoyable thing to do. So that was interesting. Also flying, doing airdropping into Sudan, which was remarkable. We were doing something called VLAGs, which is very low altitude gravity extraction. So effectively, you'd have the aircraft down at 50 feet with the gear down, with the ramp open, with a kind of a tie down strop with all the food on pallets at the back, and then red on, green on, there'd be a guillotine would cut, and the whole lot would go out of the back. And again, when you're flying this thing, it goes from full back stick to full forward stick back to the middle, and you're at 50 feet doing about 150 knots. So that was
horrendous.
Yeah, it was great fun. It was great fun. And we used to do practice a lot of formation then, because we were down there as 2 and 3 or 4 ships, and so we did a lot of close formation then. And again, for no real tactical reason apart from that, it was fun. So I got a lot of close formation again in C-130 apart from air-to-air refueling. So that was good. I think the most remarkable thing I did when I was down there, we were being tasked to fly out of Rwanda before the genocide happened. And we had, the United Nations were there, and we had a 3-week detachment in the Mille Collines Hotel in Kigali. Again, sat by the pool, but because the situation with AIDS was so bad down there, there's no way that anybody could get blood transfusions if they were injured, and we were supporting Belgian troops for the UN. And so our job was to be down there and medevac them out to somewhere safe if they needed to do that. And so we had a 3-week detachment by the pool. It was our turn to go down there. And we were a bit late. We staged through Cairo, so it was 2 7-hour flights, staged through Cairo, and we were delayed for whatever reason. Finally coming into Kigali just about in darkness, and we were in trail at about 7 or 8 miles final with an HS-125 in front of us. Next thing we know, surface-to-air missile comes up, blows the aircraft out the sky. It had the presence of both Rwanda and Burundi, the neighbouring country, aboard, and that was the start of the genocide. It was completely premeditated. And even now there are conspiracy theories in Belgium, and I've had journalists get in touch with me saying, did I think the missile was supposed to be for us, and to try and bring Belgium more into the conflict than it was. So we'll never know. But so obviously there was certainly a threat there. So in that situation, you could hear shooting, machine gun fire on ATC, which is the first and last time I've ever heard that. Again, we had chaff and flare, so we pooped all that off, climbed to 10,000 feet in the overhead, while our navigator was trying to get hold of Belgian forces on the ground and trying to arrange some sort of response. The guy who was the captain of the team that were already on the ground, had been there for 3 weeks. The tradition was that he'd come and meet the aircraft with a slab of beer. Right? He was on the ground, obviously waiting for us. The airfield was overrun by bad guys, and he went on the run for 3 days with just a slab of beer. And when you think about the training exercises we used to do, that's not a scenario you'd ever really come across, is it? So we then up to 10,000 feet. We waited there till the fuel ran out, and then went off to Nairobi. So I was the first aircraft kind of in when that all started. Then over the next 3 or 4 weeks, a bit like they've just done out in Afghanistan, we flew a evacuation mission to bring all the Belgian people really, and plus friendly workers and everything else in a very similar situation, to pull them all out. And obviously they had got surface-to-air missiles because they'd blown the aircraft out of the sky, so there was a threat there. And again, I was fortunate that I was the last aircraft there, and we had headquarters flight, were the last people to get on board, and literally people were running for the airplane with children. It was a harrowing experience, and we had special forces guys on the ground shooting outwards with the bad guys coming over the fence with machetes and things. It was just the most surreal experience. If we'd lost an engine, taxiing or whatever, I don't know what would have happened, but we were able to button everybody up. We left people behind, as you do, taxied out, and I was the last aeroplane out of there. So that was quite an experience.
That's the sort of experience that might play on your mind for years after.
Yes, I mean, I was lucky that I didn't see anything in that situation there in Rwanda. I didn't see anything terrible. I saw in Somalia, I saw some pretty horrendous things that are happening on the ground. So yeah, they will always be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You did some more interesting flying. Can I ask you to tell us about the arms ratification flights you did?
Yeah, I was fortunate. When I came back from Belgium, the Belgian Air Force has retrofitted their C-130s with glass cockpit. And so I was the only person in the UK actually flying glass cockpit hurts from the RAF. The guy who was supposed to be doing acceptance testing for the RAF fell off his motorbike and banged his head, and under French law, because he was at the school in France, they grounded him for a year.
Wow.
So they had nobody to do C-130J acceptance, which is the new aeroplane coming in. And so instead of going back to Lydon, I was hoiked off to the side to Boscombe Down, didn't have to do the test pilot's course, and did acceptance testing, but I was able to fly everything that was there apart from the fast jet, so Tucanos and things like that. But they had about 7 or 8 different heavy aircraft from just about everything. One of them was an Andover, or 748. I think the Andover was a stretch version, but it was full of infrared line scan and cameras, and the tasking. This was in '94, just after the wall had come down, and everything had changed and the walls were packed. And so our job was to be tasked by the Foreign Office, I guess. I don't know who did the tasking, but was to fly at low level over pretty much all of the ex-Warsaw Pact countries, taking photographs and various bits and pieces. We had specialists down the back. So we'd be flying around the Soviet Union at 250 feet in an Andover, taking photographs. And so you'd have the navigator would say, crossing over the next rise, you'll see an airfield ahead. And sure enough, there were sort of 30 or 40 blackjack bombers in a line, and it's like, you just can't believe what you're seeing, And then we'd come down, we'd land, and then be entertained by the various squadrons and governments, and lots of vodka was drunk, and so as we'd been looking to go to war with these people for the last 20 or 30 years, to find that obviously they were just the same as us and loved flying and loved partying, and it was a great experience. I was very, very fortunate, and I went all over Europe doing that, as well as flying lots of other things. One other interesting story I'll tell you. GPS was just coming in, and they had the last flying Comet Mark 4C called Canopus. It had a name, and they filled it full of GPSs of various types and inertial navigation systems. We fueled it as much as we could, and we went up to Thule in Greenland. Refueled in Thule, which was like a meteorological testing station full of just kind of containers and things, way, way up north of the Arctic Circle. And then the task was to fly this 1940s generation airliner up to the North Pole, the magnetic North Pole, descend to 250 feet low level, fly round and round and round and round and round and round in circles to try and confuse all this kit, and then fly home. But of course, what heading do you fly home from the North Pole?
Well, everywhere south.
Everywhere south. So you just had to put the sun in kind of the right place and then wait for all this kit to sort itself out. But again, what a remarkable opportunity to do something a bit wacky. Oh, sorry, one thing I did miss. I flew a Belgian C-130 back to Fairford for the International Air Tattoo. And I was sat on top of it, my C-130, with my first officer and his girlfriend, drinking a beer. And 2 MiG-29s were displaying. They crashed into each other, and one of them came down and took the back of my aircraft off.
Good Lord.
So it came at the top of me at about 15 feet, and I just had time to say to my buddy, we're dead, because remember in flying training and the combat training, if it doesn't move, it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I've got a fantastic photograph I'll show you in a minute, but the aircraft is burning wreckage, is about 20 foot over our aeroplane, and it took the tail off. We did a big wheelie because of the damage on the back. It fell off the side and held onto the HF antenna, and I was able to jump back down through the escape hatch and catch her as she fell off. And that is a true story.
The reason I wanted to talk to Mike wasn't just to hear his amazing war stories, but because he is an amputee pilot and leads the world's first and only fully aerobatic amputee formation team. More of that on the next tale, but if you were in a position to help fund him and his inspiring work, then...
Mike, if someone did want to get in touch with you, how would they go about that?
Best way would be through the website, and that's teamphoenixair.com, and that's Phoenix, Phoenix, so teamphoenixair.com. My email address is there, but also you could call me on my telephone number. The UK cell number is +44 7973 762 301.
Wow. I don't think I'd want to hang around this guy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
How many
do get that feeling.
lives does he have?
Yeah, I know. Well, at Cat 9, he's very cat-like,
Yes,
Mike.
yes.
But actually, you know, he's a very inspiring person to talk to be around, to listen to his stories, because, you know, I flew with him for quite a few years before he got his command. And, you know, it took a lot to get him to tell any of these stories. These weren't things that he sort of came on the flight deck and just started spouting. You know, you had to dig around a bit to find out about Mike's background. He's very humble and, you know, really one of the world's real gentlemen. So when I heard about his amputation and then realized that he was doing this amazing work, running this amputee formation team, I just thought, what a fantastic bloke to talk to, and I'm so glad I did, because I hadn't got nearly as much idea of the stories he was going to tell me than actually had. I had no idea that he was nearly hit by that MiG-29, and that it was his Herc that was taken out at that air show. And that, if we can put it back up again, Liz, can you do that? Because
yep, she's working on it.
If you look at the front of that fuselage, you can see 3 bodies lying down on the front of that fuselage, on the top of the fuselage, just behind the cockpit. And of course, one is Mike, one is his first officer, and one's his girlfriend. And it barely missed them. Absolutely, you know, the closest you'd ever want to come to an event like that. So I go, wow. And, you know, that was just an afterthought. Oh, yeah, by the way, I ought to tell you about this. And, of course, this is only the first part of 3 amazing stories of his life, because we're moving on to the next chapter next week, where, of course, we deal with the awful incident that caused his injury. But, you know, what can I say? He's a marvellous bloke with great ideas, and he really wants to make this disabled aerobatic team that he is the leader of into something that will grow and inspire. So, fantastic.
Wow.
Cool.
Very amazing. So, yes, as Nick said, if you're in a position that you can contribute, that information was given in the plain tale and is on or in the show notes. So please be generous with that. All right. Let's see here. Yes, it's our drone segment. And we're looking at some video of a drone. Oh yeah, here's some... What's this? There's a bird coming into view. Oh no, the bird is attacking said drone. I like this bird.
This is great.
It's almost like the drone. Ah! Got it.
Well, this...
That was on purpose, yeah?
Yeah, it's it's Google's drone delivering coffee to someone. Drone delivering coffee in Canberra, Australia. Yeah, that's that. Not a coffee drinker, that Raven.
No, he's out to stop people from drinking their coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Or
well,
to
if
stop
it's
people
not
from
their
flying
ravens, it's their damn magpies. The magpies can get very aggressive as well. So
we're thinking it must have been too close to the nest or something there that got that raven so upset.
I guess so.
Yeah. But you know what? When I was watching this, I'm thinking, are we going to have all these stupid drones everywhere making all that racket all the time? How long is it going to take before we all go, okay, that's enough?
I mean, aren't the leaf blowers bad enough?
I know the leaf blower is bad enough. I'm still having that ringing in my ear, but I think I looked out the window during the plane tail, and he has packed up and left. Perfect timing on his part, not. But anyway, quote the Raven, nevermore. Good one, Micah. Anyway, so that's not the only drone video that we have to share with you today. We have another one, actually. And let me pull this one up, so to speak. And here we go. This was in China for the grand opening of a mall or something like that. So let's take a listen. Okay, beautiful bunch of drones up in the air with lights and wait a minute. Several of these drones are kind of falling, albeit in a controlled manner, from this formation of over 200 drones above. Oh, that one hit the car.
Ouch.
Yeah. People are not very happy about this. From what I can tell, I don't know. I don't understand their language. Yeah, so anyway, here we have that video of this event. And apparently, from what I was reading somewhere in the article, they think that the reason why these drones kind of started dropping from the sky was because I guess there must have been a bid for doing this performance. And apparently the company that lost the bid to the one that was actually doing this drone performance, they think that maybe they purposely, what's the word? Sabotaged the event. No injuries were reported, but there are claims that foul play may be to blame.
Yeah, I was just thinking, do you remember when Gatwick Airport was closed because there was a drone buzzing around for a day? All they needed to do was get these blokes from China to come and check the damn thing.
I'll take care of that right away.
Yeah. Bzz,
no problem.
Oh, okay. Yeah, drone gone.
Yeah,
Carry on with your normal flying activities.
Somehow, I guess they have something that interferes with the navigational systems on these little things. Or I'm not sure how that all works, but anyway, it was impressive in a negative way. All right. Anything else to add to our drone segment? Okay.
No.
No, let's not drone on anymore.
Okay, don't drone on and on and on. Okay, yeah, I get it. Very funny. Rim shot, right? Let's see if I can hit that and boom, nailed it. All right, this is some feedback from Rob, and this is Rob from Down Under. Hello again, Captains Jeff, the wonderful APG crew and community, and especially the lovely Liz. Kiwi Rob here again from even further down under in New Zealand. Just been listening to the latest APG syndrome fix, and Rick's words struck a chord. I'm sure that many of us dream of living your life in the sky, and these wonderful podcasts and Rick's amazing photos take us there. For me, I've always wanted to fly as long as I can remember. From an early age, I'd bike to the... I'm sorry, I was moving my window while I was reading this, and I just messed myself up, so to speak. Let's see... At an early... Here, let me start over. For me, I've always wanted to fly from as long as I can remember. From an early age, I biked to the airport most weekends just to watch the arrivals and departures. In my late teens, I took flying lessons, and with all the exams passed and just the cross countries to go, the oil crisis of the late 70s doubled the cost of flying. Love and life took over, and the rest is history. Fast forward another 30 years, and I finally achieved my private certificate, but always with some what-ifs. I love seeing Rick's amazing photos and hearing the great stories you all share. It's the closest thing to being there. Thanks for scratching the constant itch. I attached a few words written by an 8-year-old boy. How could you not want to be a pilot? Thanks again to you all, Rob. And this goes... Oh, yeah, we'll go ahead and read this because we've done this on a few occasions over the years, but it's always fun to read it again. Again, as Rob mentioned, this is from an anonymous 8-year-old. I want to be a pilot when I grow up because it's fun. It's a fun job and easy to do. That's why there are so many pilots flying today. Pilots don't need much school.
True.
They must learn numbers so they can read instruments. Yeah. Pilots should be brave so that they won't be scared if it's foggy and they can't see, or if a wing or motor falls off, they should stay calm so they'll know what to do. That's actually true.
Sensible.
Pilots have, I'm sorry?
Sensible, yeah.
Yeah. Pilots have to have good eyes to see through clouds, and they can't be afraid of lightning or thunder because they're closer to them than we are. Again, true point. The salary pilots make is another thing I like.
I can see through clouds, no problem.
Yeah, well, yeah, that X-ray vision that we have. The salary pilots make is another thing I like. They make more money than they can spend. Well, that's not really true. This is because most people think plane flying is dangerous, except pilots don't, because they know how easy it is. There isn't much I don't like, except girls like pilots, and all the stewardesses want to marry pilots, so they always have to chase them away so they don't bother them. Not true. I hope I don't get airsick because I get car sick, and if I get airsick, I couldn't be a pilot, and then I'd have to go to work. That's the best sentence.
Yeah, very funny.
And then I'd have to go to work.
And then I'd have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's so easy, yes.
It is.
Not much school, lots of money.
Most
it's super annoying because you have to chase away all your admirers. All the time.
know.
Yeah.
Most of that was true, except for that part. At least it's not that way anymore. Yeah, thanks again, Rob. And I'm glad that we can do this and allow everybody listening, or many of you listening, to kind of live vicariously through us. I mean, I'm a marathon runner because I'm living vicariously through Steph.
Yes. Let me take you on that journey.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll run the miles for you.
Thank you. Because they'll not get done if I have to do it. All right. 7-3 Matt, I guess he was at the meetup, Nick, at Fair Oaks. He says, a really good day, interesting, and putting faces to others of like mind. Thanks for the podcast. Always interesting and fun. Keep up the good work. And the title of his feedback was Fair Oaks Meetup, so I'm assuming he was there.
Yes, I know, Matt. And 73s is a greeting on radio.
Okay.
So ham radio, yep.
That's funny.
And he's the guy that taught me and got, he was my instructor when I got my radio license.
So I automatically
know Matt well.
I automatically thought of the 737 when I see 7.3 and
right.
didn't even think of ham radio.
88s is hugs, normally proffered to ladies, and 73s is just...
I wish I'd known that
goodbye.
when I was flying the 88.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Huh. Well, hugs to all of you. All right, especially the ladies. Captain Nigel sent this in. Good old Nigel Demery.
He was at the meetup too.
Oh, excellent. It's all coming together. It's a big circle, isn't it? Hi, crew. Another interesting article linked below. Personally, I think you've covered Hong Kong pretty well, so it might be overdoing it if you include this. Nah, we always like to hear from you, Nigel. As an aside, I agree with the fired guys who are unemployed in Hong Kong already. A further fill-up is that the Canadian guys who volunteer to return to Hong Kong but are denied visas will get a Canadian arbitration payout from CX, I guess, Cathay, in excess of what Cathay was offering. So they're probably happy. Well done, the Canadian arbitrator, Liz. Best wishes. Yeah, so I guess the Canadian guys are doing all right. Getting more than they would have if they relocated. Yeah, Liz is looking for that guy to work on her salary negotiations with the APG union.
My brother was a very impressive union negotiator for the biggest union in BC. So
wow.
That's what he did for a living, was fight for the unions.
Well, Liz, I recommend that you not get in touch with him. So the article...
Could I tell you a little story?
Yes.
He always used to have two cars. He had a really nice car because he loves cars. At times he had a Rolls Royce and beautiful, Mercs and things. But he always kept a really ratty old car. So if he had to go on picket duty, he used to drive the old car.
Gotcha. Very clever.
If he went to union meetings, he always drove his old car.
It's always optics, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what's not much difference between a union leader and a politician, right?
Yeah, they've got to be able to communicate.
Yes, absolutely.
Really the number
and I
one.
mean that,
and connect with the, whoever
the
it is they're
populace.
trying to.
Yes, the group of people that they're representing.
Appease, yeah.
Yeah, and I meant that, of course, in the most positive way possible.
Oh yes, we love politicians. in
Nobody
union.
who is a union
He's well retired
member
now,
or worker, takes offense to that. I'm sorry, I think I was talking over you.
You can just write into "I'm offended" at airline.
Yeah, go ahead. Everybody else does. You might as well too.
Yeah.
Anyway, from the BangkokPost.com, Hong Kong denies work visas to dozens of Cathay Pacific pilots seeking to relocate to the city. So you'll remember that Nigel was telling us about the fact that Cathay has been closing down all these bases. I think almost every base except for the Hong Kong base, right?
Yeah, very few still going overseas.
And so these people go, okay, well, we'll move to Hong Kong and get a work visa, and then we'll fly for Cathay there. Only its problem is that they've been denied work visas because of all the out-of-work pilots already in Hong Kong, many of whom were working for, the low-cost carrier associated with Cathay Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon Air used to be a kind of local short-haul airline, and Cathay bought them out, turned them into Cathay Dragon, so they had both short and long haul. Dragon Air pilots or Cathay Dragon were in a different sort of airline to Cathay Pacific.
So apparently, because they are all unemployed, Hong Kong's saying, I'm sorry, but we really can't give any of you wanting to move here and work for Cathay these work visas because we already have too many out-of-work pilots to deal with that are already here. Apparently, that's what I gathered from this whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In a nutshell, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, that all goes back to just how strict the rules and everything else are in Hong Kong still regarding COVID.
Yep.
So, kind of.
All right. Well, thank you, Nige, for sending that in. Keep us up to speed with that, if you don't mind. And let's see. Somebody named Liz sent us this feedback, how Delta people are awakening over 550 hibernating planes. And this is from the Delta News Hub. In 2020, the pandemic impacted air travel across the world. Don't we all know that? Take a look into the work behind parking, storing and reactivating a fleet during a global crisis. When Supplier Ops Program Manager Rusty Foster reflects on the massive cross-functional undertaking to store over 550 Delta planes grounded because of the COVID-19 pandemic, he thinks of the motto his Navy Reserve construction team lived by. And here it is. The difficult we do right away. The impossible takes a little longer. That's a great phrase.
Yep.
When Rusty was first called to action, it was March 2020, and the pandemic was in full force. Customer demand was dropping, and there was an uneasiness settling in as flights took off with fewer and fewer passengers. Rusty had the day off and was getting ready to head back to Jacksonville, Florida, where he was performing heavy maintenance checks on aircraft. One of his leaders gave him a call and asked if he could go to Blytheville, Arkansas, to start parking part of Delta's fleet. The pandemic was already rearing its head. A long drive to Memphis International Airport, a canceled flight, and another 8-hour car trip later, Rusty was finally in Blytheville. That day, they started flying in MD-88s. It was like watching the skyline in Atlanta in the evening when you can see the pattern. Planes are flying in, just one after another after another. And the first day, they parked 14 88s. The next day, another 14. Anyway, so the article goes on, a very interesting article about some of the obstacles that they faced, including running out of chocks to chalk these aircraft, and so they had to go to the local lumber store or Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that to go and buy these 6x6 skids of wood to hand make replacement chocks, etc. And then it talks about also how they were able to get everything out of storage and returned to active flying. And in fact, I think this Chet Casper sent in some video that shows one of the airplanes being brought into service. So let me just click a few things here and I'll show that. Where is it? I think I have that. No, I don't. Well, that's no good. Oh, wait, no, I do. I have it. Okay. Here we go. Okay, this one apparently didn't make it through the checklist. Operational checks. Yeah, Rusty, I'm sorry, but you failed on that one.
Yeah, not great.
He was a little rusty.
Wow.
And that's probably not the first time he's heard that one.
Yeah, they're bound to be a bit frisky when they've been on the ground for so long.
Do we need to see that again?
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't very long. First flight after lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just
what are we
listening, this aircraft seems to be a little bit wobbly, unsteady.
Flapping wings?
It's a 340. It's, what do they call it? The quasi, the structure was quasi something or other.
It's flapping its tail
Frangible?
It's bending in half almost, and the tail going up and down reminds me of like a dolphin or a whale almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to watch the video to see what we're talking about.
Quasi rigid. That's what the fuselage was described at in the Airbus A340. Because it used to bend and twist so much on,
That sounds a lot like the under-arousal problem that Adam has.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Poor Adam.
I know. And we love you, Adam. We really do.
Or poor Mrs. Adam.
Yeah, well, even more so, yes. All right. Well, we had some fun with the airplane storage and bringing them back and having a funny video. Ha, ha, ha. That's what we do here.
Yes, very good.
Okay, moving on. Speaking of which, after years of cloak and dagger mystery, I find this an obscure airline supplier site or Facebook. Are these only on military planes, or do you also use them commercially? And why? And this is from Henry. And did I do a overlay with that, Liz? I don't think I did, actually. Okay. Well, then that means I'm just going to have to do this. I'm going to have to share this with everybody so you can see what we're talking about. I failed again. I thought I'd done... Oh, that's all right. It was kind of that was an extra one, Liz. You didn't need to worry about that one. Okay, here we go. Well, I didn't mean to share the entire Evernote, but there you go. There you can see the image that Henry was referring to. And of course, it is a chemtrails on and off switch. Looks pretty official to me.
Yeah, I like the look of that. That's a nice looking switch. And we all, appreciate a good switch.
We do.
Mm. So these get used commercially as well? Can we comment on that?
I think so, yeah.
Only?
Well, I really can't say. I think I've already said too much.
I think we're not allowed to talk about this,
anyway,
actually.
So no, I've never seen one of these switches ever.
Well, I'm retired, so I can say that Airbus have their own version thereof.
Okay. It's in French, though, right? It doesn't say on and off. It says on.
Oui.
No. I don't know
How do you spell that?
I can't. So what would you say, Steph?
I just said yes and no. Oui. No.
Okay. Yeah, but what's on and off? Do you know what on is?
No.
Oh, come on, Steph. You disappoint
I know.
me. Anyway.
If I read it, I would probably know it, but I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. Sorry.
Well, we do have an overlay for this next one, Liz, and it's also related to chemtrails.
Yeah.
It's been well over, this is from Tom Harris. It's been well over a year since I left any feedback, but I'm still listening and appreciating your efforts quietly in the background. I think that's best for everyone. He says, a little self-deprecation. Anyway, a friend sent me the attached picture with the caption, "Is it normal for planes," his word, not mine, "to cut clouds in half?" I put him off for now with some tosh about the conditions being just right for the engine and friction to melt the ice in the cloud without forming a trail. But I think they're on to you, and I'm going to need a better explanation. Okay. So what do you think? We're looking at this overlay. And again, show notes, people, if you want to see this, or maybe even the chapter image that you're looking at. And so we're seeing something that appears like a contrail in reverse, or an inverse contrail, where instead of the white ice trail left or chemtrail left, we're looking at the absence of said trail through this cloud. Now, I don't know is this just an optical illusion where we're just seeing like a shadow, maybe?
No, I don't think so. It was probably conditions that were favorable for this to occur as the aircraft flew through the cloud. I was going to say something snarky about like, well, it's, because the aircraft winglet, they're so sharp they can just cut a slice right out of the cloud and just place it that way.
That would have been funny if you'd done
I know. Sorry, I started off too serious.
But what is it? So Neil is saying that's a disc trail?
Disc trail, yeah.
Is that really a word? I mean, is that something?
A word I've seen for it. I don't know how scientific or accurate that actually is. But who wrote this into us originally? It was Tom. Tom was talking about melting the ice in the cloud. Well, clouds aren't necessarily ice. They're just visible water.
They can be ice.
Vapor. They can be ice, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
And so basically, if the cloud is not so thick, if the aircraft is flying through the cloud, but it's a really thin layer of visible water, vapor, moisture, it'll displace all of that, and you'll get this path cut through it.
That sounds very good, Steph. And in fact, Skybree, which is a great reference library of aviation terms and effects, agree with you. It's a clear path through high-level cloud in the wake of an aircraft, a visual reverse of a contrail. There is still some debate regarding the mechanism behind the formation of a disc trail. One possible explanation is the engine exhaust gases emitted by the aircraft flying through a thin veil of high-level cloud warm the air, causing the ice crystals in the cloud to turn to vapor and disappear, creating a clear passage behind the aircraft. An alternative explanation is that when an aircraft flies through a supercooled cloud, this cloud freezes due to the disturbing airflow created by the aircraft, as well as by the addition of plenty of freezing nuclei due to the aircraft's exhaust gases. Some of the particles act as the nuclei onto which the droplets can start freezing. As the ice crystals form, they grow in size and fall. And this sometimes is observed as a full streak below the clouds, below the actual disc trail, or they just evaporate instantaneous when entering the lower levels.
Yeah, all that. Neil in the chat room makes reference to something that I was thinking of, and I could not find a picture of it fast enough, but yes, the documentary movie Airplane has a very good example of a disc trail at the beginning, and I believe it's set to the theme music from Jaws.
Yeah, you're right. So, wow, I really did learn something. I mean, I usually just say that, but I really did learn something on the. I've never heard of a disc trail before. Wow,
it's a thing, just like chemtrails.
Yes. So now, Tom, you'll have something. We'll have the link to that What was it? Skybree. Article regarding disc trails, and now you won't have to tell them the truth that it was a chemtrail, but
it's probably a chemtrail.
Yeah. All right. You know what I forgot to do during the Getting to Know Us segment? We have a little bit of time left over, and so we'll just talk about this rather quickly. I didn't have a picture of our cover art for the last show, and I'm going to see if I can find it now. I may not be able to. Yes. Okay. Let me find it, guys. So this will not be in the podcast itself. Yeah. Thank you. If you don't mind, just go ahead and whistle for a while. Okay. I'm just kidding. You really don't have to do it. You're starting to give me a headache. Oh my gosh. I'm so distracted by your whistling that I can't concentrate enough to find this thing. Tell him to stop, Liz.
We can't hear her.
I can't hear because someone's whistling in my ear.
Okay. Was this, oh my gosh. You guys are really, I know what it is. I swear that I'm being so distracted by this awful whistling that I can't even think straight. Okay, here we go. I'll share screen.
Let's hope the windows in your airliner never start whistling then.
Not like that. Okay.
Why have you put a picture of me up there?
Well, that's because that was a cover art for episode 491, Whirling Disc of Death, that you did. And it was brilliant artwork, as usual. So thank you very much, Nick. And, of course, that's Nick about to get sliced into little tiny pieces by the whirling propeller or whirling disc of death.
Yeah, that's all right. They fixed me up quite nicely. There was only one bit that was missing. They couldn't find that.
There's always missing bits, isn't there?
Yeah, so there you go. That I'm sorry we missed covering that during the Getting to Know Us segment, but I'm glad that Liz reminded me of it. And I think that was some of the best work I've seen from you, Nick.
Oh, well, actually, that one was quite simple, but
yeah?
Thank you.
No, I love it because it almost looks like you're animated right there, like a cartoon. You know?
Yes.
It does look like you're about to break into a rap. Good point, Liz. He was about to do some recordings for Airbus.
Does it look like I'm sort of 20 years old?
No.
Okay. Well, that didn't work then.
No, you need to take some more of those wrinkles out, and I don't know.
Not so much the gray beard.
Thin out the beard. Yeah, make it a darker beard.
But
yeah.
I've got my hat on backwards.
You do have your hat on backwards, and it's such a good look for you.
Yeah, I thought so.
As we've already established on this show.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up so we can get Steffi on the road. So here we go. We're going to talk about the website we have. It's called airlinepilotguy.com, and there you'll find information about the crew and the community and the library, calendar, merchandise. Thank you, Liz. She's saying all these things in my ear. YouTube links, plane tails, more information about each individual plane tail and photos and coffee fund information. Can't forget about that. You should definitely look that up. And so there you go, airlinepilotguy.com, all that stuff and more. And we're also on social media, what I like to call the social medias, because I'm hip with wearing my hat backwards.
I was going to say, where's your hat?
I don't know.
I was confused about your hipness and age.
Well, you can tell us about the social medias, and I'll grab a hat.
Young, hip, and on the social medias, you can find us on Twitter, twitter.com. We are at APG Crew. You can find our individual Twitter handles pinned to the top of that page. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. That's feedback at airlinepilotguy.com if you want to send us some feedback. Also, if you're looking at the screen. Oh my gosh. Speaking of being distracted, the whistling was not distracting, but both of these guys wearing their hats backwards is quite distracting. So yes, facebook.com/airlinepilotguy, and you can also check out some of Nick's artwork on Instagram, APG Crew there as well. For a deeper dive and to get away from these young hip folks, you can head over to Slack for some mature aviation content. No,
I don't know about that. But I can tell you something. I wish that Nick had a hat on that guy that's over his left shoulder, Mike Wildman. Yeah, too bad he's not wearing a hat backwards like us hip dudes. A helmet backwards. There you go. That's even better. Okay, let me see if I can find what I'm supposed to play next.
Is Hillel there?
I don't know. I don't know if it's starting to rain again outside, I guess. No, that's not a euphemism for what Hillel's doing in the bathroom, Liz. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh yeah, look. Oh, I hear the shower water. Hey, Hillel, can you do Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
No problem. Just come over here and get this out of the way. And does he have his hat on backwards?
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and Plain Tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
All right, thank you, Hillel, for always being there. That's kind of kind of scary, actually. But
Ew, Jeff, you said you didn't use the washcloths.
that's not mine. Okay. Anyway, we do appreciate all the hard work that you do for us, Hillel, and managing Slack and all that jazz. And also, we need to say a big thank you to our producer-director, Liz Pyper in Toronto. Thank you, Liz, for all the work you do. It doesn't go unnoticed, for sure, especially for me.
Yeah,
So.
well done, Liz. Great job.
Right. And I finally fixed the fade. Yay, look at that. It's not an abrupt cutoff anymore. All right, and with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off and wish you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care. God bless.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
It's a good look, isn't it?
Burp.
No, it's
not great.
A good look. Not great. Oh, turn off the recorders, she says. Wait. What if we miss recording the great suggestion for a title?
Oh, show title.
Okay, Liz has one. Waking up the fleet in a plane with a big alarm clock.
Yeah, I like that.
A whole bunch of planes. And then a big alarm clock going off in the
airplane
background.
alarms.
A sun rising, rooster crowing. I mean, she's obviously thought this through. So that's Liz's suggestion. Steerman on a wire.
With regards to
because they hit the wires. That's what brought it down. Okay.
And distrailing ravens.
Distrailing ravens.
I was just going to go diss my trail. So
diss my trail.
I have no idea how I would do a picture of that.
I don't either. Good night, Eric in Norway. Glad you were able to catch most of the show. Sorry, I know it was kind of rude of us to start it during that time that your son was trying to get to sleep.
Good night, Eric. Is that a suggestion?
Good night, Eric. Yeah, that's a good show title. Good night, Eric. No gang signs, please.
That was Nick flashing gang signs. Actually, I think that
was he?
Just rock and roll.
I was doing rocks. You know.
Oh,
yeah.
But it could be a gang sign. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame gang sign.
Yeah.
The old guy's
That one's
gang
just
sign.
rock and roll. It's not that cool.
Oh, okay.
And what's more, it doesn't really work on the podcast version.
Flock of steermen sitting on a wire like birds. Okay. That's a little abstract.
Mm-hmm.
When drones attack. Okay, yeah, we do have or when drones are attacked. Drones attack.
Drone fails.
Drone attack and attacked. Sorry, Eric. I apologize. That's as good as it's going to get. One heartfelt sorry. All right, I'm going to stop the recording because apparently we're not getting any really good ideas here. Captains with caps.
Captains with caps. Those young, hip captains.
Yeah. Are you being sarcastic, Steph?
What? I don't think so.
You said what too quickly.
Oh.
Way too quickly.
I
You have to ponder it for a moment.
Huh?
What?
That doesn't sound like.
Huh? No, not at all. What are you thinking there, Nick? You're not saying anything.
I'm just looking at these thinking, this is a shambles.
Well, that's normal.
It's nothing new.
Yeah.
Liz is like saying, I gave you the entire
montage she
of,
drew it in her mind.
Of artistic cues. Raven mad. Okay. The director is telling us that we need to end the broadcast so that we can have a quick post-show chat before we all disperse. So thank you again, all of you, for showing up this afternoon, at least afternoon here, wherever it is where you are. Thank you for spending the time with us. We do appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.